Hi. I do not know what was going on. I did mention to some hi Spark Joy. I did mention to some people that I was having like some weird issues with my internet the last couple of days, so I wasn't sure if I was going to make it today. But I am here. Hi Mara. How are you? Um so yeah, come on in. Everybody come on in. How was your week? I tell you, the weeks go by so fast. I was just talking about this last week. Hey, Coco Khaleesi. I love the name. I was just talking about last week how I'll finish a live and then I'll be like, all right, I got a whole week, and it's like I blink and we're back at Wednesday, which isn't a problem. I love coming and hanging out and talking with you guys, but it's like weird how that works. So yeah, welcome to Level Up Single Mom. I am your host, Kiana Footman. I'm also known on these internet streets or YouTube streets as Vitamin Key. Tonight you saw the thumbnail. So tonight we are going to talk about the idea that as a single mother, you are a loser. Hey Deanne, welcome. She said that thumbnail. Yeah, first of all, thank you, Erica. First of all, that thumbnail, the more I look at it, the more I like it too, because I feel like that is how it is. Like they'll sit in your face and be like, "You're a loser, right?" And they'll be smiling at you, like, "Yeah, you should agree." You know what I mean? And that's what we're going to get into all that. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and play the intro once I get it pulled up, and then we will get started. Okay. It was acting up. All right. So, yeah, as everyone who saw the thumbnail tonight, we are talking about how single mothers are losers. Now, again, always have to feel like I have to do this disclaimer for anybody who hasn't been here. I talk about subjects that are, we're talking about the point of view of men, but I'm talking about it in the sense of informing ourselves so that we can make proper more strategic decisions. I feel personally like we're making decisions using information that is not either information we don't have or information that we are not interpreting correctly because we either have no point of reference or we just cannot conceptualize the viewpoint of where they are coming from. And this isn't like a men are from Mars, women are from Venus type of thing. Like that's more of a cutesy, playful ideology, which was what like one of the gentlemen that was attended last week's discussion was trying to say, which I got where he was coming from, but he clearly didn't understand it. It's way more of a blood sport. I have said in previous lives that I came to understand over time that men are playing a game, whereas we as women are just thinking like, oh, I'm just living my life. I have, that room to grow up, to learn, to fall, make my mistakes, to fail forward, right? Whereas with the men, there's more of a totalitarian viewpoint on that, at least when it comes to women, in terms of the level of the kinds of mistakes that you can make and still be considered a person of quality. Let's say that a person of quality. Last week I kind of put in front of you, because mind you, I am not certified anything. I'm not a psychologist. I am not a sociologist. I'm not anything, I don't have any credentials per se, but I do have a lifetime of experience in this body, in this life, in my experiences. And I'm very observant. I have my feelings about things, but I also am good at picking up on patterns. And then once I start picking up on patterns, then I start looking a little closer and trying to figure out, okay, what do these patterns mean? So that being said, last week I was talking about how it's a game to men to be able to do certain things to us and with us, and how they are holding us being the women, to the rules of this game that we don't know we're playing, that we never agreed to play with them, that we're thinking we're just, engaging as equals and human beings in a general sense. So we're coming to the table with a general sense of I don't want to say propriety, but of just kindness, consideration, just for humanity. You know what I mean? For their humanity. Like I said before, I don't always know what I'm going to talk about from week to week. But over the week, as I was getting closer to today, I kept seeing more things in different places, unrelated, that kind of I felt like added on to that, or that next layer of it. Whereas that's why I wanted to talk today about how it is that single mothers are considered losers in society. Now, that may be jarring to hear, and that may be like very triggering to hear. And it may or may not be the first time you've heard that in that way. You know what I mean? But I know the first time I actually heard it, I'll be honest with you, I heard that like 2 years ago. It was the end of 2019. At the time, my oldest daughter, was living with her father, and she had been for like 2 years, going into 3 years. And I went down there because some stuff was going on. And I just wanted to put my eyes on her and my hands on her and make sure she was okay. And we were just talking and just catching up. And she asked me, she said, "Mom," she said, "is it true that if a woman's not married by the time she's 30, she's a loser?" And I had heard things that, when I sit and think about it, basically kind of alluded to that. By that time, I had been very familiar with, as much as I wanted to be, with the manosphere. But I had never heard it like that. And I was horrified because I knew where she got it from. I knew her father had said that to her. You get what I'm saying? And I understood that. And I also understood that it was kind of a dig at me too. But because her father is married. But at the time, it didn't strike me as, like, I knew he had some misogynistic stuff going on with him and everything like that. But it didn't strike me until this week. Like I said, seeing these other things, and I have some clips I'm going to show you how it is indicative, because as far as I know of him, he's not someone who sits around and watches a bunch of YouTube. I wouldn't say that I think that he's someone that is spending a lot of time on YouTube. He's more of like a mover and a shaker. He likes to get out and mix and mingle. So that is just something that he just thinks and feels. And I know that his feelings are indicative of a lot of men. And I'm not saying like he is kind of like every black man archetype. You know what I mean? If we're going to categorize people, he is more of a general black man archetype. He believes himself to be a good man. You know what I mean? Despite some of the things that he may do that are to the contrary of that, at least in my opinion. So to know that that's something that he not only thought, but felt comfortable to say, and not only felt comfortable to say, but to try to implant in our daughter, it's indicative of this idea that this isn't just a YouTube problem or a social media problem. This is a societal problem. This is something that we are dealing with and grappling with in general. And it's really important for us as single mothers, and there's also women here who don't have children. It's really important for us to understand this, because like I said, I know me personally, if I had known these things about how men were thinking, how they were interacting, the part they play in the circumstances of the women that they are categorizing as this or that or the other, when I was, a viable candidate for certain things, I would have chosen to opt out of interacting with them altogether. And that's just me. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say that I'm the everyone. I'm not trying to say I'm above women in general. I'm just saying I take it on to myself, knowing my own personality, that had I known a lot of this stuff, I would not have been interacting with them, and that they wouldn't have had the access to me that they had, because I was moving forward in one frame of mind that's not true. I was moving forward in a belief system that we were interacting as, equals, or at the very least, with no ill intent, no malice, no danger. But I'm seeing more and more as we're speaking that there is an inherent danger of interacting with these men, a psychological danger. Not necessarily physical, but physical for a lot. It is physical for a lot of people. I can't personally say that I have experienced domestic violence in the form of being smacked around or anything like that, or even like intimidated. I did experience, but it was very brief. It was very early on in my teens, and like my family nipped it in the bud. But I'm saying, like, in the people that I had the most contact with, the men that I've had the most contact with, I will say that I have never experienced domestic violence as far as being smacked around. That being said, though, even during that time, hey, Spark Joy, Invincible Summer, Hakama, how you doing? I can say, though, that, and I always did say that there was this element at the time. I can remember being in situations with one person in particular where I had a really keen, clear thought process of, if I react this way, or if I don't do this, this person will hit me. So like one time I was staying with someone, or staying the weekend with them, and they actually like just kind of dropped me off at their house and left me there for the weekend. And I stayed until, that Monday, but they never came back. They didn't call me or nothing. So I remember sitting there that whole weekend and just kind of just thinking, just taking that time to myself, because at that time I lived with my grandmom, and so I kind of took the opportunity to have some time alone. And I remember distinctly thinking to myself, if I let this person get away with this, eventually he will hit me. If I send the message that I'm okay with this by not enacting some kind of, consequences for this, he will hit me. And at the time, the only consequences I could have was just, I'm just going to choose not to deal with that person anymore. But I remember thinking that. And then, years later, finding out that that person had been hitting other women, before me and after me. But they never hit me. And I know it's not because I'm special. I feel like because I have that ability to kind of sense things to a degree where the energy I omit, I may not get it clearly. I may not have it like a firm grasp on it, but I have it enough to be, if you ever watch like those like National Geographic or something, and you see the animals and they can't see the predator, but maybe they can sense and they go up and they're looking. I had that going on, and I hope I'm making sense. Please let me know if I'm not making sense. It says, Spark Joy, I'm seeing men that I grew up around with new eyes. I took feminist classes young, but didn't see black men as problematic back then. Yeah. Antipodes said, you're paying attention. Yes, I was paying attention, but not even just paying attention. I was sensing. I was sensing the danger, even though I couldn't see it. You get what? Because outwardly you don't see it, you feel it. But the problem that a lot of us have is because we don't see it per se, because we can't conceptualize it against what we're viewing with our eyes and with our other senses, because it's more of like a sixth sense. Because we couldn't conceptualize it, we just kind of go, not even just that. I've spoken before about, how I wrote in my book about figuring out why, amidst all the discomfort I was feeling, amidst all the disappointment I was experiencing, amidst all of the confusion and the pain and the embarrassment and the exploitation and all of that, how it was I would continue, like why I was so apt to continue dealing with it. And it was because I had a desire that was way more clear than these other things that I was sensing. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Antipodes said, we often ignore or fail to recognize our subconscious cue. Yes. And I pose that we fail to recognize it because we have no point of reference. You know what I mean? We don't know. Like a lot of people sit there and talk about, oh, how do you allow yourself to be abused? It's not something that happens right away. Like somebody doesn't just walk up to you and slap you in the face. You know what I mean? Like, and we have all these societal norms that kind of make some of those first steps towards abuse normal. And even like, like when we watch those movies where people have this love-hate relationship, the guy and the girl have this love-hate relationship where they're always coming at each other or whatever, and it's really catty, but then eventually they get together. You know what I mean? Yes, the frog in the boiling water. Exactly. They don't put you in the hot pot yet. You're just kind of there. And like I said, unfortunately, when it comes to single mothers specifically, by the time the pot is hot enough to be burning you, you're already invested. Your babies are you know what I mean? So you have all this other stuff you're contending with. You're trying to avoid being the stigma. You're trying to not be bitter. You're trying to think of the children and not yourself and not deprive them of their father. There's a whole much stuff that is there. And like I always said, we're going like Fruit Ninja, that we're fighting against, that we can't even see. We could just kind of feel, and it's draining on us. It's draining on our mind. It's draining on our energy. It's draining on our psyche. So we're not at 100% to be able to be making the best decisions, to be able to be making informed decisions based off of, objective reality, to be able to have the clarity that we need to move forward in the best way for our situation, to even be able to contend and grapple with what our situation actually is. And so that is what the point is of these lives that I do. The subject matter, it may seem like I'm just harping on, negativity, and these men are saying this and da-da-da-da-da. It's not about that. What I'm trying to do is kind of like prime our minds. Hopefully, people will find it that are in that space where they're just drained and they're just sad and they don't know what to do and they're hopeless and they're helpless because they're contending with all of this. They just don't know what it is to be able to combat it. Hey, Lantinette. So that being said, like I said, I heard that notion that women in general were failures if they weren't married by the age of 30, right? And then, of course, you hear in the manosphere, the wall, blah, 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 blah. Women aren't really sexually viable or desirable after the age of like 25, 23. Shoot, some people are talking about 17, 18, so I heard those things. But this week, after, I did the work of establishing that we are in a game with these men, or these men are playing a game with us, I kept getting from different places this notion of women being losers. So I want to I want to show this one clip, because again, this is about understanding who we're dealing with. These are not, and that's why I was talking about the what's that called? The thumbnail. Because like I said, it's not going to be some outwardly dusty looking, hey look, Zora, welcome. Some outwardly dusty looking, man with a belt in his hand coming, ready to hit you. It's going to be those educated lanes. You know what I mean? It's going to educated lanes. It's going to be those everyman guys who think they're the good guys, who feel like, oh, they have a good job, and they've done everything they should do, and you should just settle for them, or, especially that's just if you're a woman, period, like I said. So if you're over a certain age and you don't have children, they're already saying, oh, you're a loser. But if you had a child and you're over a certain age and you look a certain way and you're not this race and you're not that race and all of this other stuff, there's this idea that you should be grateful that they're even paying you any kind of attention. And then behind that comes this idea that, well, you shouldn't require too much of them to be around you, and you should be willing to give whatever it is they want: sex, cooking for them, cleaning for them, just generally making being around you a benefit to them because you are undesirable. So I just wanted to kind of show these things that I've been seeing lately this week, to piggyback on last week's live talking about how it is a game. So first off, number one is they will see you and they will decide whether or not they would have sex with you. That I want to belabor. That doesn't necessarily mean that they think you're beautiful. That doesn't necessarily mean that they think that you are on the same level of a woman that they would want to marry and they would want to impress and they would want to make a good impression upon. You will still fit in that first category of would I have sex with her? And I'll get into more of that later. But right now I'm going to play this first clip here. Let me find it. Sorry, y'all. I tried to have it all pulled up, and then something was happening. I've had like a weird thing going on with my internet on the last couple of days. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to have the live. Yes, Invincible Summer trigger warning. Oh, I hate that. Okay. It's taking forever to pop up. I see you here. You should. There it goes. This is draining. A good woman that's a single mom
That's an oxymoron. That's like a vampire that enjoys the sun. That shit just doesn't exist. Oh yeah, yeah. There's that many blades. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, my mic was muted. Okay, so everybody breathe. Take a second, breathe, and just ingest that. Now, I have been a single mother pretty much since I was 18 years old. In my mind, I understood that it would be more difficult for me to date and potentially find a husband or acquire a husband or whatever like that. I wasn't even fully sold on the idea of getting married. It's not something that I did a lot of fantasizing about or anything like that. It really would for granted that might happen one day. I wasn't even like particular about having children, to be quite honest. Like, my personal plan for myself was that I would be a surrogate for people who couldn't have children. And then, if I felt like it later on, I might have children. But I kind of always understood that it was going to be a lot of work to be a parent, a lot of pressure from myself because of my experience as a child with my actual parents. So I wasn't sure that was something I wanted to do. That being said, I got pregnant, I had a baby. So I understood on a very surface level that I it would be harder for me to find someone who would possibly want to take on a child that wasn't their own. What I didn't understand was that even though men know and have a very, deep um, aversion to wanting to take on other people's children, that they feel as though you, as a single mother, you, as someone who has had the child of a person who didn't want you enough to marry you and make an honest woman out of you, or a person who was a bad character enough to dupe you into having their child. And I'm not saying any of these particular things are definitely my things. I'm just running down the list of ways you could think about how a person becomes a single mother. So you, as a woman who was foolish enough to lay down with someone who wouldn't make sure that you were okay, or who was devious enough to trick a man into marrying you and then having his kid, and then you leave him so that you can live off of him without actually being tethered to him and having to service him in any way. that you, as a single mother, however that may have come to be, are now a second or third or fourth or 10th class citizen. And that you shouldn't be treated with the same care and consideration. And truthfully told, I'm seeing more and more, no woman, no matter how perfect, really fully gets the amount of respect she probably should. But I'm just saying, as a single mother, you deserve less than a quote unquote respectable woman. I understood that on a surface level. And like I said, it's something that I had a deeper sense of, which was driving those obsessive desires and kind of nonsensical drives to try to stay with locking my daughter's father, of trying to couple with the man, period. Even though, like I said, it wasn't ever something that was really a strong desire of mine in the first place. It's not something that I can ever remember really like fantasizing. Some girls will say, oh, I used to think about my wedding all the time. It's not something I thought about. I thought about me having adventures. I thought about me I'm talking about as a kid, starting businesses, and maybe somewhere on the side, in the back of my mind, I took for granted that I would have a boyfriend or something. You know what I mean? So that being said, I did not grasp that these men are so deep in that thought process that not only do they feel like you don't deserve the same thing, you're not a regular woman, so you don't deserve certain things. Hey, Jenny Bean. But that you shouldn't think that you deserve the same things as a respectable woman. And furthermore, that you are doing something wrong by thinking and acting and behaving as if you deserve the same thing as any other respectable woman. He didn't say, oh, I don't prefer to deal with single mothers. I choose to want to keep, I don't want to take on the burden of a single mother and her children. Any of the other millions of things he said. He said there's no such thing as a single mother who is a good person. Now, I heard that sentiment before, or rather I questioned that sentiment before in a male that I know personally. Not someone that I deal with on a romantic level at all. Someone I know like family. And I remember us just talking about general stuff I had seen in the manosphere, things like that. And I brought that up to him one time. This was way before I saw this clip. I saw that clip like the last 2 weeks or something. This was like a year or more ago. And I remember just straight up bringing it up to him and saying, hey, guys tend to believe that if you're a single mother, you're basically a ratchet and you're a bad person and blah, 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 blah. And he's just, without hesitation, was like, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, but am I those things? And he said, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, but that is the idea that's swimming around. And like, even it just came out of you, and you know me all your life. You know what I mean? But to say that is just a fact and that is just what it is, it's, like I said, it's jarring. And like I said, it's jarring because once I found out about that sentiment, it made so many other interactions that I had in my life that I just felt like things were off, or I was just confused why someone came at me a certain way, or I was confused why they were confused that I was insulted by something they said or they did or they tried to do, or you know what I mean? Like people trying to just come over my house to chill and stuff. And I'm like, I don't do that. You know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10, 9.9999999 times out of 10, hey, Nia X, you won't have someone just flat out say, oh, you're a single mother. You won't have sex with me. You're a single mother. But they'll say it on these live. You get what I'm saying? They'll say it in these spaces. And like that live that I did, I'm struggling with whether or not I want to tell y'all where it is, just because I don't want to give them, I don't want to give them any more views or whatever. But I also feel like it's important to hear these creatures in their natural habitat talking, because like I said, it's not something that you would ever think. In my mind, if someone doesn't meet my standards, I would not interact with them. And even the fact that he feels that is not a problem for me. I don't have a problem with these ideas that they have about single mothers. The problem that I have is that they feel like they can feel this way and should feel this way, and that we should feel this way too. And so therefore we should basically lay down prostrate for them to walk on our backs and on our heads and things like that. That they feel like we should feel like we are deficient, and so they should be able to just use and discard our bodies, because in their mind, we let someone else do that. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a matter of us, interacting with another human, looking for whatever we were looking for, love, connection, whatever, or just whatever happened. But it wasn't a matter of two humans having a connection and an interaction and things happening. It's a matter of us being deficient or degenerate or just bad people. I had no idea that people that thought that about me were going to be the ones who were coming up to me, because I don't pursue men. I'm not one of those women that's just out there, twirling their boa looking for a good time. I would be doing whatever I was doing, and then men would always approach me. And sometimes they would be, more covert than others. Sometimes they would say, hey, you want to go out? Sometimes they would say, hey, can I get to know you, or whatever like that. But there was always a point in time where it was clear that they expected me to put out under circumstances that were, to me, I was just kind of like, why did you think, why would you think that that's okay? You know what I mean? And then I can't say that have I had people get mad? I probably just didn't pay them much mind. You know what I mean? But I have had to have like weird conversations, and I've even had like guys treat me like a crazy. You know how the women will go and bust windows out of the car and da-da-da-da. I had this one guy who I just straight up told him, like, look, I see you doing this, and this. It's fine if you don't want to, like, we had already had sex at that point, and I saw a change. And I said, it's fine if things are changing. I just don't like, I don't like when you play games. I know the drill, so I'm okay with us just parting ways. And he was just like, oh, no, it wasn't that. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm sorry if I made you feel da-da-da. But anytime I saw him after that, you would have thought I came up to his job and, like, threw a brick in his, when I, like, he would actually look and like he saw a ghost, like I was a crazy woman who was stalking him or something, when all I did was like confront him full on and articulate, this is how you're making me feel, this is how you're acting, I don't appreciate it, I'm not that type of girl. You know what I mean? But it made so much sense once I understood that I was the problem, because I was subverting the role that they had assigned me. And so what I'm saying to you guys on this platform is that it's really important that you understand that this is the role you've been assigned. Just like I was showing you last week, how any one thing you could be doing, saying yes, twerking or something you're doing, just enjoying yourself, enjoying your life, can put you in a category of being a ratchet. I want you to understand that just being in the experience of being a single mother, you are automatically a bad person. Okay? And I'm not saying internalize that. I'm saying, objectively write that down and understand that in the mind of these men, you are a bad person because you are a single mother. Deanne says, Sounds like how slave owners talked about their slaves, didn't even deserve to be treated like a human being, and were wrong for even thinking they should have that right. Absolutely. So now we're going to move on. I want to show goes beyond just, oh, you're a bad person. You are a loser. Last week I talked about how it is a game for them. And we had Chris, and I'm not saying this in a negative way if or when Chris, comes back and if he sees this or whatever. This isn't negative towards you, Chris. But Chris was saying, oh, yeah, it's supposed to be a game. It's supposed to be a banter. It's supposed to be a back and forth. And we're all like, no, Chris, that's not what it is. It's not what it is, because if you're in a game, it's like last night, my baby wanted to play Connect Four with me, and me and her played Connect Four, and sometimes I won, and sometimes she won, and when I won, I wasn't like, yeah, I beat you, bitch. You know what I mean? Like I didn't make her feel bad about me winning. Now I could see her sometimes going, but because we were going to keep playing and I wanted her to feel good, there were times where I could have seen a way to win, but I didn't win, or sometimes where I didn't worry about being strategic about where I was putting my things. I just was kind of whoever won and she would win, and sometimes I would win. You know what I mean? So my point is that when you're engaging in a game in a healthy way with someone, you understand that it's okay for you to win and it's okay for them to lose. And if they lose, you're not going to make them feel less than for losing. You get what I'm saying? That's not the type of game we're in here. When we enter into this world and we enter into this space, it's for keeps. You know what I mean? And if we lose, and there's so many different ways that we can lose. We can lose by being fat. We can lose by being a little too dark. We can lose, you know what I mean? There's a lot of ways we can lose. But once we've lost, there's no coming back in their mind. And that is how they want us to think. Deanne says more of us need to be that kind of crazy. Yeah, that, and it's so funny to me because I have friends, female friends, who would be like I'm that type of person. When I start seeing certain things, I was saying, I think it was last week, I was talking about how as soon as I start seeing those games, I will give people a chance and I'll say, look, this is what I'm seeing. I don't like that. That's not how I want to interact. This is the type of interaction I'm trying to have. I'm trying to have, open connection that requires vulnerability, and I can't be vulnerable with you in a way I think you would want me to be. As long as you're doing that to me, that makes me feel like I need to protect myself. Like I will write out the texts, I will send the voice clips, I will say this stuff, and my friends will always be like, you're saying too much, they don't care about that. But that's the point. I have to say this stuff, number one, because I'm trying to open myself up. I know I have issues that make me a little less than trusting. So on the one hand, I'm trying to learn, my threshold for trusting and what's safe for me, and figure these people out and not just be like off with everyone's head. You know what I mean? But at the same time, too, when I'm interacting, it's methodical for me, because you can't say you didn't know. Because a lot of times, like I said, they will not come to you and say, hey, yeah, I was playing a game. Oh, yeah, ha, ha, ha. Or, oh, you're not the person I really thought you were. I wanted you to be. I'm going to leave you alone. They'll just be, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, I had the word. Oh, it's always something. So I'm going to be really, really clear, because next time I address this, I'm walking away. And you know why. And you can't say you didn't know why, right? The second reason is because just in case you don't know, you know what I mean? Like, just in case you don't know. But the most important reason is, why should I be interacting with someone that I don't feel comfortable, that I feel like doesn't want to hear what I have to say? Like, what sense does that make? And it's all different types of women, that I had, good looking women, accomplished women with all kinds of sense and stuff. But it's that idea that, oh no, a man doesn't want to hear what you have to say. Don't even bother. Keep dating them. Keep allowing them to insert a piece of their body into your body. but don't ever bother, talking, telling them how you feel, telling them what you're thinking. What's wrong with you? Valerie TV says, I say and give a clear communication. Yeah. Deanne says they want to have the choice to save or damn. These broken boys want to be little gods over us. No, exactly. So, and I saw some people coming in. Sorry. Let me see. I want to say hi to anyone. Confidence with love. Hello. Welcome. Thank you. So, yeah, I don't see the point in interacting any further with someone that I don't feel comfortable speaking to, and I'm not allowed to feel comfortable speaking to. And that is part of the reason why I'm talking. Like, if, depending on how they react to me clearly communicating with them, like someone who is reasonable and rational and mature and wants to continue a relationship with them, if they can't handle that, then I know they're not the person for me and they shouldn't be allowed access. So it's finding these things out, understanding that they think that way, that we can then prime our minds to start going, okay, I know why I'm feeling like this. I know why I'm feeling drained being around this person. I know, we always, and we were talking about music the other night. We were all talking about like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill and Mary J. Blige, whole catalog basically. And I stumbled upon Jill Scott's The Real Thing, was it Words and Sounds Volume 3? Child. And I sat and I listened to that because that used to be my stuff. And I feel like I'm gonna give homework for y'all to listen to that album. Because she's singing these songs about, oh yeah, I'm feeling so good. I can, sex them real good and put them to sleep, and very descriptive about the sex and getting all involved with it. But then at the end, she's like, but why do I feel so empty? And singing songs about, how she is lonely whenever this person is around her, and just that confused, that haze of passion and just being so involved with that person and thinking that there's something significant. She's singing this one song about, oh, come see me, I'm missing you, it's raining over here in my womb, just all of this stuff. And I remember it making total sense to me before, like being so caught up in that sexual aspect of my being. And we could talk about that another day, because we're going to get to like celibacy and why that's necessary. A time of celibacy is necessary for you to kind of get your mind right or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, you're caught up in all these different emotions that you should be able to have with people that you're being intimate with people that you're trying to build a relationship with people that are coming to you and saying, hey, yeah, I want to get to know you. I want to be with you. You should want to do that stuff with people. But you're feeling something that is keeping you guarded and you don't know what it is. And because you can't put your finger on it, you just, like everybody else, you just consider yourself crazy. Let me see here what the comments are saying. More MK says, I find that only guys I've either dated before or sex history without years prior to becoming a single mother treat me with the utmost respect. They do not shun or label me as bad goods, etc. I had that experience as well. Valerie TV says, if they were kids, but these are grown men, they know they don't care. Yeah. Yeah, they know, they're going in knowing this. And like, that's why as hard as it is to say it, I do feel like the manosphere is necessary. Because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't even have thought of it. You know what I mean? Like, I never would have thought about this being the state of things in a million years. And I needed to see it and I needed to hear it, because like I said, they're not going to say, just like what was her name, Jazzy Brown was saying, they're not going to tell you. They're not going to say anything to you that's going to make you go, oh, okay, cool, no problem. You ain't got to worry about me. They're not going to do that. Hello, Marvel Cousins. Welcome. Hope you enjoy. I hope it's a pleasant experience. I don't know if it will be, but welcome. welcome. You are welcome here for now. Drea Spear. Drea Spear. Petty brought me here. Hey y'all. Oh yeah, I remember you. Welcome. So I want to go ahead and play the next part. Not the next part of that video. It's another video. Same content creator in this case, but let's see. Okay, so this is going back to, like I said, the idea that it's a game. Okay, content. Sorry that it's taking so long. It's like sometimes my internet do everything I wanted to do. I knew that birthday bag live was in alignment or whatever, because I didn't have any I didn't have any issues with my internet that day. Everything was smooth, all the transitions, the intro, the outro. It wasn't no
what you said. You've already made it to the point that you're an official loser. Okay? I know women is not recognized in the Black community what a loser is, but if you make it to your 30th birthday, you've been on the market for 12 years, and a man hasn't trusted you enough to make you his wife, you're a loser at that point.
Okay.
Okay?
I mean, it's your word.
No. This is what you are. Now, the only thing you can do at this point, because I'm not talking about your feelings, I'm talking about what you are. You're a loser. The only thing you can do at this point is accept the fact that you're a loser so I can find something to help me win. Because you ain't won. You ain't got no husband. Got husbands.
Okay.
Just is what it is. Okay? So you a loser. Learn to be a winner.
Okay.
No, ma'am. I'm saying it on purpose because you have. This is something men just learn usually earlier because we participate in sports and we play games against each other. We play football, basketball. And all what you said. You've already made it to the point that you're an official loser. Okay. I know women is not recognized in the Black community what a loser is, but if you make it to your 30th birthday, you've been on the market for 12 years, and a man hasn't trusted you enough to make you his wife, you're a loser at that point.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's your word.
No. This is what you are. Now, the only thing you can do at this point, because I'm not talking about your feelings, I'm talking about what you are. You're a loser. The only thing you can do at this point is accept the fact that you're a loser so I can find something to help me win. Because you ain't won. You ain't got no husband.
I don't have a husband. I don't.
And women who are winners got husbands.
Okay.
Just is what it is. Okay. So you a loser. Learn to be a
It looks like it played twice, but yes. Yeah. There we go. So there we have it, right? Flat out. And like I said, it stuck out to me because I was talking last week about how it's a game for them. He straight up said, oh yeah, because we've been playing games, sports, this and that and the other since we were kids, right? And then he said the same thing that I remember hearing a couple years ago from my daughter, because her father said it to her. Her father dropped that pearl on her. Now, I do want to say, and I told her, I said, don't you ever let anybody say anything to you to make you feel like you're lesser, because that's when they can get you with the bullshit. So I just wanted to clear that up. I did correct that. And thank you so much, Tiff, and thank you everybody. I do appreciate you for showing up. I do Woman Chat Wednesday every Wednesday, 6 p.m. here at Level Up Single Mom. So and we do Woman Centered Wednesday in our community from the Discord. QB says, "Why show me what losing is a lot of listen." Okay. LB says, "I'm a loser now." Oh no, child, child. I should just die. Like really, like I would have just died based off of their criteria. Thank you, Erica. True Mystique says tomatoes, losers like them doing these live streams all day, every day. Listen, everybody's got to hustle, right? Let me see. It says the goal from 1830 was not a husband, was not marriage. I think I'm winning. I'm pretty sure I'm winning. Deanne says you're on the market. They're still using the 1864 playbook. Look, that's just it. If this is what's the picking, I don't want to be on the market. And that's the thing about it for me. Like I grew up, I have a very proud grandmother. My grandmother raised me. And one of the first things that I learned as a kid was, like, if people don't want to be nice to you, you ain't got to be nice to them either. You know what I mean? And not even necessarily in a thing of you going out of your way to be mean, but you ain't got to be bothered. That was one of the first lessons my grandma taught me, was just that you don't got to kiss nobody's behind if they don't like you. And that's what I'm saying is that as someone in my position in society, according to them, it boggles my mind because I've had so many bad interactions with men that they started having those thoughts about me. And then want to sit and say like black women just hate black men. I was minding my business, not thinking anything about black men. And I have a black man approaching me thinking, oh, he wants to interact with me in a positive way. Because why else would you get what I'm saying? Not being able to conceptualize that their belief that they're entitled to something from me. Themis says I cannot do this. You I mean, listen, it's so much. But yeah, this and like I said, I heard that in 2019 out of my baby's mouth because her father told her that. And then I'm seeing this man straight up saying, I'm like, okay. And I'm not saying I don't believe it. I don't internalize it. And I'm not saying I didn't believe that there were other men that thought about it, because by that time I had already heard about the wall and all that other dumb stuff. But to really hear them hear an unrelated person, to my knowledge, he don't know my baby father, speak it like that, lets me know that this is something that we need to take heed of. This is something we need, and we need to be telling our daughters. And we need to be telling our daughters. And we need to be showing our daughters. And not so that they can go, oh, let me stay in line so these men will want to pick me, but so that they can understand that it's not even worth the risk of positioning yourself for a man like that to think that they have access to you for the rest of your life because they left something behind in your room. She said, all the men here know nothing about the rules of the games. They're not playing at a high level as men. Marvel Cousins says, we can definitely do better as black men. I will never deny that. We can always improve. But is it really? And I'm actually going to share the link for people to come. Is it a matter of improvement, or is it a matter of tear the shit down and rebuild? Because you can't improve on maliciousness. There's nothing to improve upon with an enemy of mine. That doesn't make us just like, oh, we're on opposite sides and we're playing a game. Ha ha ha. That makes you my enemy. And I don't think y'all realize that. That makes us enemies. And how the hell should I, if I'm in my right mind, want to sleep with my enemy? And the sad part about this particular clip that I showed, that live, if you can stomach it, I would say watch it, because The woman that was on it, you heard her, she was laughing, and you could actually see her breaking down. And you can tell that this is how her done it. She just wanted attention from the men. And they were saying they were, it was clear that she was the whipping boy. If you ever seen like a movie or a play or something where they have a character that is just there and they just make fun of them. You know what I mean? Like they're the low man on the totem pole in the group. And like she was just hanging around just to be down, just to be up there. It's another older lady to be up there like that too. They talk all types of crazy to her. But just so that she can be around that male energy, she was saying, but she actually wound up getting drunk on there. Let me see. Oh, DM. Hello. I thought I added you. There you are. I can hear you now.
Okay, can you see me now?
I can't
Let me
see you,
get to
but I
my
can
light
hear
here.
you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, can you see me now? Okay, there
Yes.
we go. Okay. My house is we've upgraded, and I just realized the way this house is made, it's a death trap for the internet. So it is what it is. So I came out into my stairwell with all my post-wall obese 41-year-old glory to just add, because this kind of stuff makes me mad because I teach a lot of little girls, and they're hearing the same thing your daughter was hearing. And I was on that live when that gentleman was talking about games, and I'm sitting like, y'all, okay, let's talk about where the chips are on the board. Are you running enough in this world to be able to tell any woman what she can and cannot be? All these games they grew up playing. How many black men are playing on a professional level? The number is under 5,000. There are 13 to 15 million black men. The black men who believe this, 1/3 of their number are felons. You can look that up. 30 to 33%. The black men who believe this are at the bottom of every single important metric in terms of economics in the country. To go lower than that among men, you have to go to our suffering brothers who are still trying to fight their way out of colonialism elsewhere in the world. They have the shortest American lifespan. COVID-19 locked a year off their lives. And yet, they think the 1864 playbook is not in effect because the man who put the last generation of black men in prison with his 1996 and 1994 crime bills is president. And private prisons are being funded all over the country. But they want to tell us we're losers with that record? It's like you playing chess and you don't have any pieces on the board, sir. What it is these men have believed that they can't make it, that they're subhuman, and their consolation prize is supposed to be one of us. No, no. And tell every young black woman you can. A man playing God with nothing in his hand. A man playing God who, according to T. Hassan Johnson of the Onyx Report, this is a black masculinist channel. He's the one talking about low testosterone and shrinking packages, and no, he's not talking about other groups of men. So a group of men that is losing so dramatically in American life just wants to project that on women. So hopefully they can have one or two women as a slave. And then they get to a certain age and they come to church to try to find a woman like me. But if you think you're God over me, basically you playing Satan. So again, no. We have to get into the mindset of almost when black men approach you, in your mind thinking, for what? Are you trying to buy me cheap? Do you not know it's 2022, halfway to 2023? You trying to buy me cheap off the market? You don't necessarily say this to anyone because we know the numbers on black femicide every 5.5 hours. So men who want to have, who will not check their brothers on killing each other 25 times a day and killing us 4 times a day, working on 5, because that's what they think we deserve. Well, they don't think much of what they deserve. So why would you be under a man that doesn't even care enough about how his brothers treat him? I just came here with my 41-year-old obese post-wall self to just thank you for having this show so we can air this stuff out. and to let it be known firmly that, yeah, we gonna tell the younger sisters. I don't have any children, but I teach a lot of people, and we gonna tell the younger sisters between 17 and 25 what these old men coming after them are after, wearing their little suits and stuff, the so-called good men. No, we got the evidence now. We're not gonna do this. You're gonna have to be some kind of black man to overcome this, but this is something that black men have done to themselves. Joe Biden isn't getting them, isn't running the Rogers Report. Black men out here doing it to themselves. Winter is coming and you're gonna die alone. The man is motoring away in the grave as we speak at 53, which is not uncommon for men like that who live that kind of lifestyle. Meanwhile, black women keep on living. Average is getting wider and wider. Sometimes we don't have any value, but God has chosen to let us outlive y'all if we figure out what we need to do. So, okay, is this what we're doing? All right, gentlemen, the prisons are being built for you, your sons, your grandsons, your great-grandsons. As the Bible says picturesquely, the grave opens wide. The private prisons have the doors open wide and more are being built. I live in a city where they're being underwritten. So they want to keep playing games, fine. Ladies, just don't get caught up in the games. And I came here with my 41-year-old post-war obese self to go back and eat my collard greens, stay on my weight loss journey, and share absolutely none of that with anybody who thinks it's 1864 and he actually has money enough to actually buy a slave, given his economic demographics. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, Chi. And again, keep doing what you're doing. I can't always get on live, but it worked out today. Keep doing what you're doing. It's important. We need to have these for the sisters, and I'm going to put you up on my community pet tab too, so more people can see it.
Thank you so much, Deanne. I'm always happy to see you and always happy to hear. I've been needing this. I've been missing it. I'm eating it up.
Thank you. I have to preserve my energy post-COVID. I don't have time to spend as much time going back and forth with people that just don't want to get it. But I do see y'all. I still respect the House of Themis. And yes, Bia, I said it with my chest. How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you be a member of a, see now I'm mad again. How dare you be a member graphic doing so badly and come up here and tell me I'm a loser where every American metric says, No. Stop projecting. Stop projecting. It's just, we're not going to do this. If I've said before in my former moderator position, if we're not going to do this as a person, we're not going to do this. We're not this. We're not going to do this. And we have to tell our young girls, we're not going to let that child say that. That would have been the end of the world. And the Lord knows I would not have been able to be as gracious about it as you were. You going to tell our daughter and set her up for failure? See, you handled that really well. That would not have happened over here. I see what the Lord would not let me do that. But I'm going to take that energy and I'm going to encourage the Black girls that I know I'm going to inoculate them in advance against this foolishness. We talk about vaccination program. Okay. I bet. The foolishness, this level of foolishness, I watched part of that Roger report, and I'm just kind of like, really, y'all? Like, you thank you for your time. I'm gonna go eat my greens and take my blood pressure back down. But again, thank you for airing these issues out that we as women can come and hear people. My channel is growing. We disappear, we back. Thank you for our channels are growing. And so what we're gonna do is keep getting the word out so that we can keep the next generation from going through what our sisters have had to go through and our mothers have had to go through. It's just, we just not gonna do this. We not gonna do this, ladies. All right. Talk to you then. Thank you for your time. And hello to everybody. I know some of you haven't seen me for a while. I'm still around. I'm just being very selective. And vitamin G, you are among the select. Let no one tell you otherwise.
Whew, yes. I needed some of that. I've been missing it. But yeah, and all of that, all of what she said, but even I want to kind of come back because we're speaking that from our place of power, like I call our righteous voice, right? But what I really want to speak to is those little girls inside of us. Because like I said, when Chris was talking last week about how it's supposed to be a game, I do feel like on a certain level, we are as human beings supposed to, Jesus said, be like a child. And we're supposed to, those children within all of us, men and women, are supposed to interact with each other in love, in innocence, in vulnerability. You know what I mean? In curiosity. We're supposed to be able to come together and play. And the part that hurts me the most is that the parts of myself that I was giving these men was from that place of that vulnerable little person, not knowing that they're adults. I wasn't adult, but adultifying me and vilifying me in a way that made it sadistic. Because even, like for you Marvel cousins, you said I can do better. I understand that, but I guess to listen to it sometimes, because every once in a while they talk about old-fashioned values and taking care of your women. Not often, but sometimes. I'm not sure who you're talking about that are talking about that, but I will say this much. The thing is, the way I went into the manosphere, I found my way into the manosphere, I was trying to improve myself. Because when you coming from that place of being childlike, you are open, what they call being coachable. You are open to trying to improve. And so I was seeking self-development. I was seeking self-improvement. I was seeking wisdom that I figured I must not have to have had the bad experiences that I was experiencing at that point in my life. But when I got to the manosphere, what I realized that I was coming from this, I was like a sponge, and I was internalizing all of these things that, like I said, they weren't saying to me directly, but I was picking up on them and I was internalizing them. And because I was internalizing them, I was allowing these men to be sadistic. It's not just a matter of a difference of opinion. It's not just a matter of, oh, it's a game and all's fair in love and war. It's sadistic. The way that they were talking to that girl on that last live, which one was that called? Let me see what that one was called. The show was the Roger Report, and the title of this one was "What a Good Wife Looks Like to Men." This was on July 28th, 2022. They were being sadistic. It's like taking a sucker punch. It is. And over and over and over again. Because just like what hurt me the most about listening to her was I remember just keep going back because you don't know where else to go. I knew, and I sent a super chat to ask her how was she feeling. I sent a super chat to ask her how was she feeling. They were taking it like, yeah, you need to feel that. And they wanted, I say all the time here, accountability is a tool, not a weapon. And these men weaponize accountability to see women bowed, bent, and broken. Because in their mind, you're not accountable until you are bowed, bent, and broken and ready for them to make you in the image that they want you to. And most of the time, like I said, if you're somebody like me, they don't want to do right by you. They feel entitled to be able to use you up, and to discard you. And in their minds, you being accountable is allowing them to do that because that's all you deserve. Fuck that shit. And fuck anybody who thinks that they're going to do that. You don't get to do that to me. And anybody within the sound of my voice needs to know that they don't get to do that to you too. So I want them to talk. I want it because I wish I had heard this when I was 16. I wish I had heard this when I was 18. I wish I had heard this. I wish I knew. And it got to the point where I was mad because I was like, my people didn't tell me, my family didn't tell me. It took me a long time to be grateful. It took me a long time to be grateful and recognize that I had a family that loved me enough that I didn't have to know any of that bullshit. That I didn't have, like, a lot of, because there's so many people that can't metabolize this stuff. There's so many people that can't metabolize this stuff and they take it out on their children. And then their children grow older. And then their children start doing it to other people. You get what I'm saying? So for me to have lived with a family that, despite any and everything they may have been going through, still could teach me to be able to just love myself enough to have a foundation of self-worth. Because like I said, I used to think that I was changing or I had to change. And when I actually got healed or got to this point of healing, I realized that I was back. I had gone away and then I came back. Hey, Tiff.
Hey, love, I came up to support you. And
Oh, thank you.
to let you know, I watched Roger's report. I watched it every day last week. And when I tell you I was sick and depressed, because I have never heard anything like that, especially Black people. And I think the person that broke my heart the most was Hoodies, the 61-year-old mentor, the one that has serious habits. And to hear so many Black men led astray. And I just watched it. And I'm like, okay, he has about 200 to 300 people on listening live. And then they average about 2K daily. And all I could think about is all of these Black men are they're being turned into incels. But then I hear what you're saying, and I know in my reality is I'm 43. I have never heard Black men speak this poorly about Black women. And some of them have wives, and some of them have daughters. And all I could think is like, what is it like in your home? Are you just behaving this way because you're online? Or are you causing pain to every Black woman that you know? And I see Marvin making this conversation, and I'm not a fan of Singe G's particular, I don't like her talking points, but she is one woman. You can go to channel after channel, Funky and Fish, Table at 8, The Crew Season, Dennis Sperling. The fact that I can ramble off 5 men with large profiles and platforms, and you men, because I almost said something, are caught up about one person that's literally saying y'all are not in a good space. Wake up, defend yourselves, take care of yourselves. It was a grown man that said his mother gave him whore genes. Who talks like this? And they starting off in the beginning of the day. Like, you are up at 8, 9 o'clock spewing hate for 3 and 4 hours. It's not that serious. It's my same complaint is this. If you don't like Black women, please divest. Leave us alone. Because we're tired of it. I am exhausted I am exhausted. And I know how you feel, to feel like, why was I sold this story about Black love when these niggas hate us? You don't like me. You don't like me. You don't like me. And you will scream to the high heavens, you don't like me. And then you mad when I figure out, you know what, shit, I'm in this by my damn self. So let me go to school, get a degree. And then the Negro had the audacity to say, I wouldn't be with her because she bought a house and I don't like the house. The fuck? This is it? This is what I'm supposed to tell my niece to buy into? Absolutely not. I'm over it. I am done. Like, as a collective, absolutely not. If you got a one off, if you got a defect, when Russell Wilson is a simp and Future is who everybody wants to be, you know what? I divest. I don't want any parts of it. I don't want Vitamin to have any parts of it. I don't want LB to have any parts of it. I don't want Erica to have any parts of it. I don't want any Black woman that's done the work and read the books and studied to get caught up in the fuckery that these Negroes are serving in 2022. Absolutely not. I'm over it. I'm angry. I am frustrated. And we have been sold a bill of fucking lies. It's lies. Absolute lies. They are treacherous. We just saw Neo. Literally, yes, Neo, I cuss when I get upset, babe. Literally, Neo. This is a second woman, a second wife that you have robbed her of 8 years. You sleeping with people without protection. Now, what is she supposed to do as you go frolic and go find some other pick me? How does Martell Hope, how is he dating Sheree? Like, these people are absolute. The women are almost worse than the men. Because if he done showed you who he is, baby girl, believe him before you be looking like Summer Walker singing and crying boo-hoo. Don't be Sierra lucked up. Most of us end up like oh girl. You end up mad as hell and making long sorry songs or pissed off like Mary J. Blige, 50 years old, finding yourself. Do what you need to do for yourself. Make yourself happy. Travel. Do whatever. But you have a right to cry and bawl your eyeballs out because it's a scam. We've been lied to. It's a scam, girls. Decenter men. It's a scam. I'm done.
Well, thank you for that. You laid it all out on the table. Hi, LB.
Hi. I just I've been listening in and I just got in and I was like, let me jump on cuz same thing. I heard you and I saw your pain and I was like, oh, that's not okay. I didn't want you to be up here alone too.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah,
Um
listen, I'm crying. I'll get happy and cry. I'm just a crier.
it's okay. It's a big topic and I see Marvel cousins in the comments talking about I feel the same way when Sinji and the divestors, blah blah blah. But like that's a false equivalence. Like the way that Black women feel is not just like purely ego driven. It's like tied to things. Aw, that's so cute. But it's tied to things that happen in real life, like things that well, not even just things that happen in real life, because that's not the best way to put it, but it's tied to things that we experience in a daily basis. Like it's not like we turn off the computer and then it stops. Like we experience the rejection, we experience the fear. Like I put in your comments, I was just at Walmart and I just swerved like two dudes because I was like, I don't want to deal with their attitude if I reject them. So I was like, I'm just going to swerve. And I feel horrible as a Black person swerving another Black person intentionally. Like I feel like the white lady in the elevator grabbing her purse. But experience has told me, personal experience and watching the murder rates and everything, it shows that I'm safer if I just swerve. And then like, I think it's interesting how they group everybody together, like Sinji and the divestors and stuff. Everybody has different approaches, and we're all just trying to find the best way to respond to the violence that we experience at the hands of Black men. And I think it's not the best approach to try to equate that in Black, like they're saying that us saying that we want to divest and invest in ourselves and center women is the same as um them saying
Killing
they
us.
just don't like us
They are killing us.
and killing us and attacking us on a daily basis. It's not the same thing.
And
It's not just a preference.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, LB, but I saw what and Marvel. I saw that you and Petty had a heart to heart, and I can appreciate and respect a man that will say, you know what, I didn't see it that way. But when you are saying things like it breaks Black men's hearts to hear this, I'm gonna need for that heartbreak to have some action, because we cannot check y'all. It has been seen. We have said time and time again, I'm sorry, I refuse to believe that you don't have a mother, a auntie, a woman, a friend, someone in your life that has said the way that you behave hurts women. And y'all get along and men click up and y'all have this boys club and boys code of science. I'm going to need for that heartbreak, make it have some action behind it. Hold other Black men accountable, because you can see that Black women are holding each other accountable. We are having woman centered Wednesdays or woman chat Wednesdays. We consume the most best help. They're building more. We have what the most businesses are being developed by Black women. We're moving forward with or without you. So if you want any skin in the game and you don't want to look behind and be, as Miss Deanne says, the permanent underclass, it would serve y'all to stop talking shit about us, stop comparing yourself to Black women, and learn to compete with other men.
I would like to add, like, I even want to step back from that. If you, as a individual who's saying I don't like that the women are feeling this way, what would make the most difference is for the women to see you and men like you checking those other men. Like, do all the stuff that Tiff is talking about doing, yes, but we need to see y'all checking the other ones. That's why, like, people sit and always questioning about Themis and Themis and Themis. But I know, because I have that sense and I've learned to lean into that sense, what bothers them the most is that there's so many women there, sitting there like this, listening to Themis, happy to giving him all the compliments, giving him all the praise, giving him all the respect that they are demanding and wanting and not getting and this and that and the other, and giving it freely. Why? Because he stands up for us. Because he stands up for us. We don't want to hear, and I'm not coming at you. I'm happy you're here. Like I said, you are more than welcome. But you have to understand, we tired of, I'm a nice guy. Just not doing what the other guys do is not enough. Check them. Check them. Loudly, publicly, early and often.
I agree. And I want to add, like, a lot of times when we come on these spaces, if we hold a position of not against Black men, but for Black men to improve, for Black men to compete with other men, to step up and to protect us when other men are hurting us, it's seen as like a personal attack. And they don't understand, and then they do the whole nice guy thing. But one of the biggest things that they come to you and say is like, well, what Black man hurt you, right? And the funny thing about it is I have not been directly harmed in the sense of like domestic or sexual assault by a Black man. The time in college, it was a Hispanic man, and then after that, it was a biracial man. But what was common in both of those experiences were there were literally Black men who witnessed, Black men who literally walked by my open door and saw and said, "Oh, I thought you were just having a good time," when I've never in my life intentionally had sex with a door open. And definitely not like that. I was drugged. He saw a drugged woman and walked by and said, "Oh, I thought you were just having a good time." Like, but you know me. You're the good guy. You're the one that's been walking around acting like you're my uncle or something. And then there was another that the first time there was a black man who watched through the window. I found this out after the fact because it was like a outside pool house. Watched through the window. And I was like, seriously? But yeah, don't be sorry, you guys. Like it's been almost 10 years and I've had a lot of therapy. But it's just, for me, that's what the hurt was for me. It was the black men that stood aside, the black men that like doubted me afterwards, the black men that had a chance to step in and didn't, and the black women that supported these men. And in the first situation, there were two black men, one that was there when it happened and one that was there before it happened, and saw the guy who assaulted me with his legs kicked up on a table, smoking a blunt with me face down on the floor, and just went to his room. Yeah. And I haven't shared in that much detail yet, but those are the good black men. Any other time we're out, oh, like, yeah, I got you, you're good, whatever. But Lord forbid, or not right words, and don't want to use the Lord's name in vain, but you know, they're not going to go and get in between a man and his peace or whatever. Like, they're, oh, well, that's their business, that's none of my business. That's none of my business, men, or these same good men that we're talking about.
She shouldn't have put herself in that position.
I was at home.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying those are the things that get said.
Oh yeah. No, I thought somebody put that in the comments. I was like, I was at home.
I'm not gonna break it up. I don't know what's going on. Oh, well, she just gonna get back with him anyway. It's just plethora of excuse after excuse after excuse. When my essay happened, his friend said, "Well, you know what kind of guy he was." I was like, "Oh, okay, word." A very grown man. I was 26 and this man was 9 years older than me. I started dating him at 19. He was 27. He had no business talking to my 19-year-old self, but as a single mom, I was just glad somebody was going to talk to me. I took the options that were available. So this is why I love Level Up, because the lies and the shame that are being put on, and then to listen to 10 to 12 Black men hop on a live for 3 to 4 hours to sit up and discuss on how we are the reason why people are single mothers. If she's not married, then she's not the community's responsibility. What? Well, what happens to the kids? Well, she needs to figure that out, because if the man didn't want the baby, she should have did what she should have done. Huh? It was just ladled excuses. And then they started talking about what wives look like. And I'm just like, what description of a wife are you giving? Because every marriage is very unique. So you are selling these men this story that in 1950, it was amazing when most women were doing domestic work. There has never been a time where Black women could kick their feet up and not have to be a part of the household or run the household. So what fantasy are you living in? And I'm tired of the child support excuse. That $50 is not hurting you, bro. And it's definitely not giving a lifestyle. She's not going on a trip with your $50. It's not even covering daycare. Does your child need lights, water, food, housing, clothing? Show me somebody that can do that off of $50 a week. I want to see that woman. You are hateful. And the way that you talk about Black women is atrocious. And any other man of any other race can literally say, these women are for the pickings. They have been sent out to the wolves and they have no protection.
True Mystique.
Hey y'all, hey everybody. It's like my first time on one of these lives, so I'm kind of nervous. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. LB, I just want to say that listening to your story, my heart, like, it broke listening to your story. And Tiff, you too. I know we've had conversations in the past and you've explained your situations, and it's just so unfortunate that unfortunately for a lot of Black women, it just seems like we are in a place where we're just always on edge and always vulnerable and not protected. And it just is sad that our male counterparts don't hold space for us, to be vulnerable in the way that we are expected to hold space for them, in the way that we are expected to always be there for them and support them. But it's like, well, where is the reciprocity? And it's getting to a point where it's literally, there's an awakening happening. There's definitely a shift happening. And it's like now, especially with these movements coming to the forefront, it's like these men are pushing us away. You're pushing your only support system away from you. And it's like, bruh, y'all are only bringing this on yourselves. And a lot of us are just getting to the point where we're not going to stand by and number one, watch you continuously disrespect us. And we're just going to pull away, and y'all are just going to have to deal with the repercussions that come with it, because we've given you ample amount of chances, from not just years, but decades to centuries to eons. And now it's about time that we're going to have to do something major in order to protect ourselves, And Vitamin, I just want to say congratulations on your platform. Congratulations that, your platform is growing. I'm so proud of you. And this is definitely like an untapped, I think that this is like an untapped market, and definitely if you're very consistent, which I know you are and you have been, there's definitely room, for you to grow, But in general, like this whole process, this whole BWE and all of these things that are coming out of these spaces, like I said, it's definitely necessary, and I'm definitely here for the growth. I know for a lot of us Black women, a lot of the trademarks of our lives is like pain and like destruction. But I think that sometimes in the beginning process of something, for it to be beautiful, the ugly stuff just has to be unearthed. And as it pertains to these men, like these losers on the Roger Report that ain't got nothing better to do than do these live streams all day, every day. Ladies, I want you to understand that don't listen to these dudes. It's just projection and it's conviction. And I want you to understand that it's not you, it's them. Whenever you hear these guys talk crazy to you, try to make you lower your self-esteem and make you feel a certain type of way about yourself, it's not you. It's them. They're miserable with their lives. They know that they're not doing anything with their lives. And the easiest thing for them to do is just to project all of their failures and their hardships on you. And you don't have to take that. Now, it seems like a lot of us, since we were kids, we've been given old models and bad advice, particularly as it pertains to our self-image and like struggle love and stuff like that. Like we've talked about in the Discord, the movies, the media, the music, how it was difficult for us to find 10 healthy Black love couples in the media. So it's like, if it took us 2 hours to find 10 examples, now what examples are these young girls having to see what a healthy, relationship looks like? And that is the precipice of the conditioning that a lot of us have endured. And yet it's going to take a lot for us to undo, but I think that this is necessary for us to continuously like break these spells, And hold on, sorry, I have ADHD, so I had to like write down my notes and whatnot. But like I said, the work that we're doing, it's definitely an awakening, and it's a precipice of something bigger and something bigger than us that we are all participating in. And now us as a collective, we've decided to not put up with the BS anymore. And since they want to tell us, oh, Black women, you need to choose better. You need to choose better. Like, okay, bet, copy. We're going to choose better. And when we choose better, that means we're going to choose ourselves. And then y'all are going to be left to the wayside. Don't come call us. Don't come crying and crawling back to us since you said that this is what we wanted. Be careful what you wish for. Really be careful what you wish for. And I'm going to close on saying this, that I feel, even though I'm 27, like I feel like it's up to me to hold space to, you know, women my age, even women older. And especially I feel like I have a duty to the younger generation to do right and to hold space for us, and just give women, Black women, period, like the knowledge on how to work on self, and how to be better, and how to build our self-esteem so that we don't have to continuously, you know, fall into the traps and the ensnarements that have been, you know, set up for us. So ladies, it's about time that we end up, you know, saving ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I gotta say, y'all.
Thank you so much. A word.
I try.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your kind words about the platform. It's starting to feel like home, and I appreciate you guys making it feel homey. It's not just me screaming into the void. So I really appreciate that. I do have two more clips I want to show. This first one is a primer. This is from my live last week because, like I said, I just kind of let the universe speak to me about what I'm going to talk about from week to week. And being that this was my subject last week was like laying out that it is a game to these men, and then seeing all this stuff about them talking about definitively you're a loser. I was just like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm laying the track because it's laying out before me. So I want to lay it out for everybody else. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip. Yes, Denise, it is a game. Thank you. It is a game. It is always a game. It is always a game for them. We are living life. We are having experiences. We are just trying things. And you get what I'm saying? And that's how we get caught up when I was talking about before in one of the previous lives about, you know, how we wind up having all this stuff that we didn't know we were going to contend with because we thought we were just living life and having an experience. And really, we were in a game we didn't know we were playing, and we've already lost big. You get what I'm fine by them because we lost. That's when we get that put to demand that you don't get the you lost. I saw the first. That was the first, and like I said, that was just kind of a primer for the next one. There it is. There it is. Is that what I wanted? No. Sorry, guys.
That's okay, Vitamin. While you loading it up, what Erica is saying is very true. To teach your sons to be kind to God, to girls, not just girls that they like. I implore mothers that have boy kids, boy children, please teach your son the first time that they get into a fight behind their mama, or you're not gonna talk about my cousin like that. It's like, no, you need to be as defensive for Black women. Period. Like if you see something wrong, you need to correct. I'm not saying go after him because of hurt. If you got to talk to the dude after the scene, but there's he took you off of the swing. That means he likes you. It's like we are teaching young girls from the very beginning to be abused.
Mm-hmm.
You will never tell a boy, oh, if another boy walked up to you and clocked you, he likes you. He knows that that's a threat and to defend himself. It is like social programming from the very beginning that women are taught not to defend themselves. Somebody is assaulting you and you're supposed to process that like, oh, that's love. Huh? That's a very weird thing. And it's something that we need to say. Like, if somebody's in your personal space, be it a boy or a girl, you need to tell mom or you need to tell a teacher because we need to advocate for them. Not, oh, he like, it's very weird. It's so much so that women are being raised and men are being taught to just exist. And what I hear on these platforms is they think by proxy of having a member that that's it. That's all you need to do. Just have a member. And anybody's going to be lucky to have you. And it's going to be hard to say this, but all women are not going to be able to be with because some women will take that broken man and try to build him after 3 couples tried before. And if she's that kind of woman and her alliance with men, then that's where she needs to be with him.
Because in a way I kind of looked at it like a game.
Sorry if that's playing.
And you lost. One particular phrase to look
Sorry, I'm
out for
trying
is,
to
why
stop
are
it.
you
It
so
won't
upset?
stop.
As a one-off, it doesn't mean anything, but if this is something you hear repeatedly, it
All right.
Was
The
this
negative
the
effect manipulation can have on others.
Sorry, it just keeps doing this.
no.
Hold on.
I didn't always understand why people had an adverse reaction to it.
I was like,
Because in a way I kind of looked at it like a game. And
Every
you
time I
lost.
click the
One
thing, it
particular
just
phrase
does
to look
what
out
it
for
wants
is,
to
why are you
do,
so upset?
Jesus.
As a one-off, it doesn't mean.
I know it's important. We're going to get to it. All right.
Can I
Okay,
add
so
something?
you go
Oh,
ahead
sorry.
and talk. Yeah.
Negative
Oh
effect
my
manipulation can have on others.
Okay.
Um, technical difficulties. It's okay. It happens.
When a chick don't want to cooperate, I know the feeling.
We figuring it out. We here with you, sis. It's gonna be
Yes.
fine. We good.
Mhm.
Go ahead, LB.
Something that I wanted to add is that generally we need to teach kids to see other people, especially Black women, because that it's in our interest to do so because we're Black women, mostly are Black men, the Black community, if we're going to be a community, to humanize little Black girls. And one of the things that my cousin does, she has 4 boys, and I think it's so cute that she does this. But if her sons come home and say, "Mommy, I have a crush," which is like probably not happening as much anymore because they're getting older. But if they come home and tell their mom that they have a crush, she says, "Well, what do you like about her?" And an acceptable answer is not just she's cute. So if they say she's cute, she says, "And." And she requires, if you want to get a Valentine's card, if you want to like, go on a little kitty date, not a real date, but like, like a little play date or whatever, if you want to interact with this girl outside of school, like if maybe you want to meet up or go to a birthday party, get a gift, whatever, you have to be able to say she's cute and she's smart, she's cute and she's artistic, she's cute and something else that defines her other than just her beauty. And I think that she's doing a really good job of like teaching her boys that women are more than just what they present as visually. So like one of my little cousins, he had a huge crush and she posted on Instagram. They took her a Valentine's gift and I feel like he's too young for that, but they took her a Valentine's gift and she put in the caption, she's cute and smart and loves anime or something. And it was just the cutest thing ever because she's teaching them to really look at the overall like qualities and characteristics of these little girls. And I think that it's a little thing that most parents probably wouldn't even think of. They're just like, okay, she's cute. You have a crush, whatever. But like that, and to me is like everything. And I just wanted to point that out, especially if people watching have sons. That's something you could do to help humanize the little girls in their life, the little Black girls especially.
I really love that. It is important, I think, because all of us adults will sit and say, I remember having, watching the Disney movies and everything like that, and like the values that it instills in you, the things that it makes you believe that love is about, and how it comes about and what it's based off of and everything. So it is really important to bring it into the reality and say, okay, there's more to it than just, what do they look like?
Yeah. And side note, she has 3 boys, not 4. I don't know where I got the 4th son from. But yeah, she has 3 boys, and I just really respect that.
Look, LB, is she married?
She is divorced.
Oh, well, that's where the 4th one came from.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I was thinking her ex-husband. He's still. That's what it is. I used to like legit, like not joking.
I knew when you
him as a kid.
I'm not being facetious. When you said it, I was like, oh, she must be married, or she was married.
That's so funny because subconsciously I used to count as 4 boys because I counted him. That's so bad.
I knew where you were going with that.
I'm telling you, it's the vibrations. It can really feel like sometimes you do see people that are married and stuff. Like I was talking to one of my best friends, and she was saying that like she felt like me and her had drifted apart, and to the point where she wasn't sure if I still, consider her a friend. And I was like, I didn't even think about it like that because she's married. I just was like, I look at you like a grown up. You got a husband and kid. Mind you, I have other friends who have kids, and we're just like, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 talking all the time. But for some reason, with her having a husband, I'm just like, that's a lot of work. You know what I mean? And like, I didn't want to burden her with I feel free and breezy. You know what I mean?
Well, what I will say is what you understand is priority of friendships. The priority friendship is him, and everybody else is secondary. And a lot of women won't admit to that. Is that there is a disconnect, especially with quote unquote your single friends or people that you don't believe can relate. But I don't necessarily think it serves the married woman or the single woman well. I don't think that you should abandon your single girlfriends, because if you have a spouse that you're scared for him to be around by themselves, and you know what kind of person you've decided to do life with, and you don't trust him. And if it's going to happen, it's nothing you can do anyway. So, but when she said it, I immediately went like, oh, she's married. Sorry.
Yeah, because me and another friend who had kids, who's not married, never been married, and we were talking like when I came to the realization, when I was like, I think I'm going to try to really put myself out there and see about, finding someone and being with somebody. And we actually had to address like an elephant in the room, that we both were kind of like worried that if either one of us got together with a guy like in a serious way, that it would affect our relationship, that we wouldn't be able to be as close, because there is this idea that you kind of have to go in the house when you get a man. You're not allowed, or it's not appropriate to be in commune with women in the same way.
No, facts. It is a difference, and that's why you see these married.
All right, I don't know if anyone can play this. Oh,
no, you had some playback. Go for it. Let's see what this young man is going to say. I know it's going to be amazing, something deep. It's just going to stretch us.
Well, to go back to, and I see you, Mango Woman. I don't want you to think I forgot about you. I just want to get this clip out of the way. It's the last clip. So I played that other clip when I was saying like it's a game. It's straight up a game. It's flat out a game. And then, like I said, this week, this clip fell into my lap. And I remember watching this like a while ago. But this particular piece of it, this is a sociopath. And he is a diagnosed sociopath. And I actually had watched the full thing of him talking. That's where I recognize him from. But he's explaining to him what it means to interact with someone. And I just thought it was really interesting considering this whole idea that for these men, from them to us, it is a game. I want to start it from the beginning.
No. I didn't.
Now
I didn't always
Negative effect manipulation can have on others.
The negative effect manipulation.
I didn't always understand why people have
The negative effect manipulation can have on others.
Because in a way I kind of looked at it like a game.
an adverse reaction to it. Because in a way I kind of looked at it like a game, and you lost.
One particular phrase to look out for is while you're repeatedly. It may be a clue that the person you're with struggles with empathy. If you're dating a sociopath, this question can also be a lead-in to more dangerous behaviors like invalidating your feelings and gaslighting you. Because a sociopath lacks empathy.
So yeah, there we have it. Now again, being that I am not licensed in anything, I cannot diagnose anyone. I cannot say definitively anything is this or that, but I do have my experiences. I am really good at picking out patterns, like I said, and I do recognize the ways that these things were standing out to me, but I just did not have the point of reference. Could you guys hear it? I know it was two audios at once because I realized I wasn't on mute. Do you need to hear it again? Or did you hear what was said? It just wasn't, the best. Okay, so I will replay it. I'm going to mute myself right now.
Negative effect manipulation can have on others.
No, I didn't always understand why people had an adverse reaction to it. Because in a way I kind of looked at it like a game, and you lost.
One particular phrase to look out for is, why are you so upset? As a one-off, it doesn't mean anything, but if this is something you hear repeatedly, it may be a clue that the person you're with struggles with empathy. If you're dating a sociopath, this question can also be a lead-in to more dangerous behaviors like invalidating your feelings, gaslighting you. Because a sociopath lacks empathy, they are
Okay, yeah. So what I was saying was that was really, really important, or stuck out to me, because last week I was like driving home that point of, it's a game to them. They look at it like a game, and you lost. And for him, and mind you, he is a diagnosed, self-professed, tried and true sociopath. And he's straight up saying, oh yeah, it's weird to me because I look at it like a game and you lost. And like I said, it takes me back to so many experiences where like I am saying to them, hey, you're doing this and this is not okay. And it's not okay for this reason. And getting that blank stare, or that genuine, and I used to question myself and be like, they seem genuinely confused, but it's too diabolical for them to be genuinely confused. And so having that question within my mind of like, are they really confused, or are they just that evil that they think I'm that stupid? And I hope that makes this. Does anyone else understand what it is that I'm saying?
I do. Hi, everybody. How are you? I will come on camera, but I'm working from home today, so I'm pretty chilled. Not appropriate for the internet right now. But I have a personal experience not too long ago. I'll say about a year and some months with my ex. And it was It was an eye opener. It was the most difficult thing I've ever been through in my life. Like, and when you talk about the game, it was little things like I didn't have time to make cake for my daughter's birthday because I usually make cakes, designing and whatnot. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get 2 cakes that's just plain, and then I'll design it myself. So I got the cakes, designed it, and then we were taking pictures. I was like, hold the cake, I did. He's like, you didn't do that cake. You didn't bake the cake. Why would you think you would bake the cake? And just bust out laughing. And at the time, I was just like, but if you're a partner with me and I'm trying my best to do something, like, why was that like laugh so insidious? Like, why was that so entertaining to you that I'm quote unquote failing at something? And I can't remember what was the second situation that just let me sit back and I went, that sounds weird. It was something I did, or I almost tripped and fell or something. And his laugh was just, it was evil. And I was just like, this dude is not normal. Like, people don't just be like, start laughing, be like, hey, babe, are you okay? Or something like that. And the weird thing about how this relationship started, it was a total manipulation, and I didn't see it coming. That's why when Themis is on live and he's saying, you don't understand how these men actually like lie. When I tell you, this dude planned me out. He said he worked at a tech company he owned. Gave me a business name. At the time, I didn't even do my homework. I was just like, yeah, why would somebody lie about that? Didn't even check on it. Say he's working for New York City MTA at the time, part-time, and he has his own tech company that he started with another friend when he graduated school, gave me the name, like the whole bit. So I didn't feel like, at the time, naive me, I think, didn't even look into it. Then after we started dating, he was like, look, I understand you're a single mom with the kids. And I'm like, oh my God, finally a guy that understands, that gets it. Super excited. He's like, we're going to go and we're going to buy a house. You don't have to worry about it. I got you covered. So I'm like, oh, great. This sounds amazing. We literally start house hunting, get to the process. And then the realtor is like, okay, so we need to see this account the money is coming from. And he's like, I'll bring the paperwork next time. I have to talk to my accountant and get the information, right? Up to this day, have not seen those paperwork, those information. It just became like a string along. And I found myself trying to help him in a way, because then it turns from, I'm this guy who's here, who's gonna, make things great. And I'm like, okay, great. I finally got somebody that know what he wants and wants to be with me, to the world is against me. I'm so hurt. My father was on substance and he left my mother to work 2 jobs, and my mother just kind of abandoned us. And I found myself playing therapist, mother, just every role possible. And this is in the middle of COVID. It's happening at this time. He's like, can I move in with you to make it a little bit easier for me to be able to get to work? I was like, fine, because we're already working on the process to get a house, so I don't see why not, and going along with it. And the more I started being around him, I started seeing the different disposition, the different switches of the different personalities. And I was like, this is too much. I got myself in therapy. And I was like, maybe if we go to therapy together, this will work. First session, he was like, I'm fine. Everything is fine. You're the problem. And just like bolt it and walk out. Second session, he just started yelling at the therapist. I was like, no, I have to figure out what's going on with me. Why is it I will be okay with somebody talking to me like that, treating me like that, and not understanding the big picture, right? It took me, I think I started going, stay away from me for 2 weeks. Like, don't come over, don't talk to me. And I would just like review Dr. Ramani about narcissism and narcissism abuse. I will watch like lecture, do meditation. Like it would be like 2 weeks off. And the more he came around after that 2 weeks, I would just like watch his behavior and like how he would interact with me, how like one lie just kept wrapping up into another lie and stuff like that. And finally I just said, you know, I'm cutting you off out of my life. Don't contact me, nothing. So it's been a year. Recently, sent a picture to my Instagram. I didn't respond because there's a name I don't know. And a long message followed by, I see you're happy. I have a new wife. And I was like, I don't care. I blocked it. But then he sends the picture to my mother. Okay? And it tells my mother, oh, tell her to move on. I'm happy now. So I have moved on. It's been a year. But it's that whole like narcissist thing. They want you to be concerned about them and kind of like throw in your face what they think they're doing better than you, as if you're interested in that. And the whole sum of the game is that even though I'm a single mother, I do have a lot going on. You know, I have it together. So and the more I looked at it, I was like, did this man even have a job? Because the stories he would tell me, like it was so detailed. He was going to a merger and this company was flying over and all this stuff. And the more I review it, I'm like, wow, like he went to such extensive detail to lie. I don't think, first I was a bit, I don't think I'm that important enough for anybody to go to that extent to be such a liar. Like that was my first thing. And then
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I
Mhm.
am so glad you said that, because that was, I will always be like, who am I for someone to go
Yeah.
to this much trouble to lie or to at me, or you know what I mean? And unfortunately, that was part of what kept me in the dynamic, because I just kept saying, no, they would no. You know, it was just like, it was just so unbelievable.
It really was unbelievable. And then like after the breakup, I really started looking through the text, phone, like the business name he gave me, looked it up, not real. um the address, I remember before we broke up, I was like, I need to know like this, like I need to break this down. So I went through his wallet and just took pictures of stuff, right? So when I looked at the address he gave me originally, it didn't match his ID. What he did was he flipped his brother address, because I looked up the brother name too and information. He flipped the zip code and the apartment number. But I have picture of his real ID and all that other stuff. And I was just like, this dude really learned. And then the more I learned about narcissism, I'm like, they learn to mirror you and reflect those quality you're looking for that's in you and make it seem like that's your soulmate and that's the person you're looking for.
That's
But it's
exactly
all
what
a
that
game.
clip, that video I was showing, that's exactly what it
Mm-hmm.
said. Or a video, some video I saw recently said the same thing.
The sociopath in the last video, if you watch the full thing, he says that in his interview, that he would just mirror what he saw people wanted. And they do that. I just want to add that, like, what happened after you broke up with that person, where they continued to contact you, that is so normal for them. And that
Yeah.
happened with my my ex as well. When I broke up with my ex, who was definitely has some sort of personality disorder. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, I've actually gone to school for dispute resolution and studied these types of personalities. And he definitely fits the queue. But what he did is, after we broke up, there were cycles. So it would be like every couple months I'd hear from him, and it would be like, oh, like it would be threats. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And then it would be like, apologies. I'm so sorry. You know, I didn't mean any of that. And how are you doing? Oh, you're doing so well. Congratulations. And then like a couple months later, oh, I have a new girlfriend and we're getting engaged and blah, blah, blah. Like, my ex told me that he had a supermodel girlfriend from Europe that was like friend. I was like, are you trying so hard to lie? He had a supermodel girlfriend from Europe that was super rich and lived in a high rise in the city and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, we're getting engaged. And I was like, congratulations. And this went on for almost 2 years. And eventually I had to just be like, okay, so no matter what he says, I cannot respond. And like, if you find yourself in that loop, I suggest cutting it early. Like, if you watch somebody, they'll try every emotional approach in the book. So they'll start with maybe anger, and then they'll go to bargaining, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I want you back, to flattery, to just whatever they can. They'll try to invoke jealousy within you. They'll go through, and the worst part about it, it took me 2 years to figure this out, because he went through a whole cycle of emotions and then started to repeat it. When he started to repeat it, I caught it. I was like, wait, are we back at square one? Like, you're making me dizzy. Like, are we going in cycles? And I was like, I have to cut this. Like, no matter what threat he says, because I was so afraid, because like, he threatened me with things that could jeopardize my career, because I work with children. Like, just lies. I'll give you an example. So he said, oh, if you do X, Y, Z, then I'll, because he was afraid I was going to press charges on him. If you do X, Y, Z, then I'll send your nudes to the school district. I don't have nudes, sir. What are you talking about, right? Then he goes, well, I took some while you were sleeping. He probably didn't, but I believed him. And I was so scared that I was in tears at work in front of my class, in tears at work. And my boss had to pull me out. And she was just like, if you're not good, the kids aren't good. So what's going on? And I talked to her, and she was the one that explained to me like what type of dude I was dealing with. She was amazing. But she's explained to me the type of dude I was dealing with. And she told me then that it wouldn't stop until I just cut all ties. And she was like, regardless of what he's going to do it regardless. So just live your life. And she sent me home and said to come back when I felt better. But that was like the beginning of me realizing that I had to like just cut it no matter what happened. And sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah, I mean the last time we broke up, I actually had a conversation in front of my kids, because I was just like, look, I have to apologize to my kids because I introduced you to them. I thought this was going somewhere. And, you know, and he was like, oh, how could you bring the kids into this conversation? I said, because you literally opened your mouth and told my kids, this is what you're going to do differently in their life, and this is what's going to change. So now that I made the decision that you're leaving from my life, they get to say to you how you affect them. And he was like, well, I don't want to hear this. He grabbed his book bag, he stormed out, and then text me, you're not emotional anymore. You should call me. I'm like, for what? No, I don't have nothing to say to you, because everything you needed to say to me, you could have said to me then when it was a family communication time. It's over. It's done. So that was the last time like I saw him. But I get the same random crazy message nonsense all the time. But what I really want to say is the root of this, and where I feel I got caught up, is definitely because I used to listen to the Manosphere also. And I think you start picking up the little crumbs like, oh, nobody's going to want you. Nobody's going to want to be with you. And then when somebody is interested, you're so excited about that. You are blindsided to not see those red flags. And you're not taught to look for those red flags, because the idea is if somebody want to partner with you and you have kids already, you should be thankful that somebody wants you, right? So those little red flags, you don't see them. You're just like, oh my God, this is great. Like a guy was like, I want you. This is what I want. This is what's going to happen. And you're just like, oh yeah, this is amazing, right? And then on the flip side of that, my foundation not being raised, raised myself, everything in my life has been a try and error, and just figuring it along the way. There's nobody to turn to and be like, hey, what do you think about that? When my mother came around, right, there was the same day I was breaking up with him. It was the same evening. I said to my mom, hey, I don't like him. I don't want to be with him, because he called my mother and was like, oh, I like him, I want to marry him, all this other stuff. And my mother's like, but you say he was going to marry him. I'm like, Mom, I'm not happy. He's not making me happy. I'm telling you that right there. He's sitting right there. She's like, you know what? Y'all grown. Y'all going to figure it out. Not once did she say, what are you doing to my daughter that she's not happy? So there's no protection. When you grow up, not having protection and not being validated and not being secure, or even being taught how to go about doing those things, you kind of set out to the wolves. And my boyfriends that I've had in relationship are my children's father. I've never really dated like been in the street. Like, I meet a guy, I'm like, okay, great, we're in a relationship now, we're having children, and this is it. It's like, and I can count the number of relationships I've been in on my hands. Like, and I've had long stretch of like singleness. So when I think, okay, 5 years I'm gonna be single, I'm not gonna talk to nobody, I'm not gonna date nobody. And then it feels like, okay, when I go back in again, it should be different because it's been 5 years. But then no, you just go back into the same garbage again and do the same nonsense because your foundation is nothing there. And listening to channel like you guys has been so amazing in me just feeling like I did the best I could, but not only that, I'm learning and I'm getting better at being myself with not just somebody can make you better or you need a man to be complete, because I felt like that a lot. Like I felt like my family never recognized me even after I got my degree until I was with a partner. That's when it was like, oh, hey, look at her, stuff like that. So it took a lot of unlearning after this relationship, a lot of therapy, a lot of reflecting to just be like here where even when I listen to these shows, I put it on speaker and I let my kids hear it because I have 4 girls. My oldest is 21. I have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old girls, and my oldest is 21. So I really be talking to the girls and be breaking it down to them and everything.
Can I say something? Because I think I'm about the oldest woman on here.
Somebody was calling me, so my volume is low, so I may not be
Okay, I was
hearing
about
you,
to
but
say
can
we
you hear
couldn't hear
me?
you.
You can hear
Yes,
me?
we can.
Can you
Okay.
hear me? Okay,
Yes.
good. So I can
All right.
talk. Yeah, so I just been like breaking down stuff to the girls and really talking to them about my experience and where, not being raised and not being taught and what I can do. And I see the difference. My girls, they move totally different. They're so aware. They're so thoughtful. Like, they're so smart. They know who they are. When I stare at them and I just smile, like it makes me so happy to know that, okay, maybe it may be late for me, but not for them, right?
Wait,
Maybe I didn't have a foundation, but they have a good foundation. I mean,
Man,
they're so good that they were able to get into like private school, and I barely have to pay much for it because they got almost full scholarship from $26,000 a kid, and I only have to pay like $3,000, okay, out of that 26. So, and they like interview for it, and eh, I'm telling you, like it's great. Once I
Mango.
feel like we
Hey,
don't
Mango.
focus on the men stuff. We start. I'm talking to the single mother who are just like, oh my God, what did I do? Where I am? Just start figuring you out. Start looking at your foundation and how do you build new one for you and your current children, and how you can support them where they are. Like we talk a lot about, are you, meditating today? Did you think about how you walk through the world? Are you aware of who you are? Are you absorbing what other people are saying to you? Or is that how you feel? So like deep question to get them to really be conscious about the words they're absorbing and what people say and things like that. And it's been a couple of times like older ladies will say something to my kids and I'm like, don't say that. That's not appropriate. Like it was in a Walgreens, an older lady was like, girls don't whistle. I say, excuse me, you can whistle, baby. Don't listen to her. I'm sorry, man. No disrespect, but she can whistle. So like just those little things. And we in a predominantly Black neighborhood. So when they play outside, I have to say to them, understand your home and what is expected of you. Don't go talking like that because I heard those kids down there. They're coming from a different household. Their parents may function or parents a little bit different. Don't expect me to, do this or have you out after 8, 9 o'clock at night in the street. Like we don't do that. Don't ask me to go to the store every second. I don't do corner store. I go to BJ's. I stock up for the month. Everything you need is in this house. You don't need to be running outside to go get this, to go get that. Or, my friends is over here. If you're going to go outside, take your sisters with you. Because that way, I know somebody is with you or something like that. But the new, I feel like the new age is us and defining what that means with our kids. As far as the guys are concerned, I also have a 16-year-old boy, but my boy's special needs. He's autistic. So it's a little bit different. I think it's a lot more dangerous because he absorbs everything on the internet. And he's absorbed what the friends are doing. The hip hop music, the the speech pattern, like even though that's not something we encourage, but I can see it since he was 10 years old. Like music, a car will be passing by and he'll just start bumping. And I'm just like, you heard that before? Like when? So I don't mind the dancing and stuff like that. But what I mind is the negative connotation that he starts repeating or saying. Or like his father would tell him, because his father's Dominican. So he says, oh, don't date Black women because all those Black women, all they do is talk, 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 yell, yell, yell. They full of trouble. Only date, if you're gonna date a Black woman, date a light-skinned Black woman or go to a white woman and stuff like that, because even the Dominican ones are full of trouble or something like that. So my son came home and repeated, so he's autistic, so he's gonna repeat everything somebody says to him. So he repeated it, and I was just like, Ed, we have to talk. So, and it's hard when autistic kids absorb something. It's like a building block that you have to break down one piece at a time because it takes so long because they take it as facts. So him is going to be I feel like I'm constantly playing chess to get him to go to play football or like to do something else with other productive men. And it's because his father is no help in that department. He just thinks men are supposed to have fun and party and get girls. So for the men on like raising them young, the special need part, I can't relate to it. Like I'm teaching him it, but that absorption is a little bit more harder for him to get, you know?
That's understandable. That makes sense. I mean, but like Erica was saying in the comments, you can let him listen. I feel like a part of what we have struggled with as a community is so much secrecy. That idea that, oh, this isn't for the children and that isn't for the children. And yeah, you can like adjust it to, you don't have to give them all the great details. But like I said, I felt like I could have done with some uh priming for what I didn't necessarily have to be giving it in a way like this is exactly how your life is going to be and this is how the world is, but just knowing that, hey, these type of people that do these type of things are out there, and you need to decide if you want to be that type of person, and you also need to decide if you want to interact with those type of people, and really breaking down like what that means about who you keep in your circle, and stuff like that. I mean, I know we typically will do that, but like the whole conversations about sex and just interacting with the opposite sex, like clearly the boys and the girls are being taught two completely different things. And it's really important to bring us all together, bring the children together, and sit everybody down together so that there is a room to pick out where those inconsistencies are coming at, or where those ideas that, okay, I'm on this side and she or he is on that side. You know what I mean? Teach them all at the same time so that they come up together and feel like we are one
Well,
as a.
vitamin. The other thing that I was going to say,
Yep, it's
especially to
definitely a
Mango,
teaching moment.
is that
Um,
we
I
need
feel
to
like
support.
we're a small community, but like on the
Oh,
internet, like we're
I don't
doing
think
it
we
hold
heard.
on one
more.
second, Mango Woman. Give me 1 second. Tiff was talking. What were you
Yeah,
saying, Tiff?
what I was saying is when you talk about children, I think a lot of times we opt ourselves out of that conversation. And as she is training her children, it's an opportunity for her to relearn the falsities that she was taught. Sometimes we have to remother ourselves. And when we are mothering our children, it's an opportunity for us to give the information not only to our kids, but to our inner child of, you know what, this is what it should feel like to feel safe. Or this, when you feel something, you may not be able to put a word to it, but trust your instinct. Some people will call it, your third eye. Some people will call it the Holy Spirit. Got some bots, um, some vitamin bots, but also just I want single women to be a little bit easier on yourself, because nobody is dating and thinking that they're dating liars or people that are just, you're not choosing bad people. It's just people with bad intentions are taking advantage of the situation. And we have to get to a point that just because you have a child, it doesn't make it a liability. These men have kids by 3 or 4 different women, and we can see. Look, we'll use Martell Holt again. He's not having an issue finding somebody. If you meet somebody and they have an issue with your kids, that's a sign. That is a do not pass go. But don't ever feel like, you know what, you kept saying I wasn't raised. We get an opportunity to re-raise ourselves. We get an opportunity to not only raise our kids but to feed their inner child. You spoke very highly of how smart and intelligent your daughters are, so that means that inner child gave those babies everything that she needed. So now you got to give yourself what you need so that you're whole, and that you can know that it doesn't matter what a person thinks, you know what you're worthy of. And it's definitely not no foolishness. And also with the guy that keeps coming back, sis, let me tell you something. I it is hard to hit that block button, because a piece of our mom wants to believe that that man is going to do good and be good. You know what? If he wants to be better and do better, he'll do everything he needs to do without you having to see his actions. He will come back and he will have proof in the pudding. But for the peace of mind for yourself, block it. Block him, block it. And if he wants to get in contact with you, he will do the work that's necessary. If not, when people show you who they are, believe them.
I definitely agree with that. Can I add something?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I hear like so up here I've heard women talk about like how they didn't have the education or the support from their mothers, like maybe their moms weren't in a place to do that or they didn't know how to do it so it didn't happen. And I want to speak from another perspective. So I was actually educated about sex from a really young age. Like since I was old enough to talk, my mom's been talking to me about sex, but it's always been at an age appropriate level, at with age appropriate words and everything. And so I grew up with a really strong sense of what was okay and what's not okay. And I also had like a really high self worth. Um, and I think that what happened with me is that when I found myself, because like I had women telling me about dating and relationships and interactions with men my whole life. My mom and my aunts, they were very open with me specifically. Like my cousins, not so much. I was a kid that like heard everything because I was so quiet that they didn't expect me to repeat anything. And then my mom talked to me as well on a separate level about different things, like even if like I witnessed something that she didn't agree with that a friend was doing with a man, she'd be like, see, LB, this is the type of thing you don't want to do when you get older because XYZ or whatever. And they always they always were very involved. And when I found myself in a situation with a man that I didn't think they would approve of, instead of like I knew it wasn't the right one, but I didn't know how bad it was going to be, so I kind of hid the bad parts, and it just grew over time. And then I found myself in a situation where it wasn't bad parts anymore; it was just all bad. And I think that in that moment, you like if you were raised with an education, if you were raised with a woman telling you whatever, sometimes like I was young and I looked at it as like, oh, they're just salty, like they've had a bunch of bad relationships. It's not, everybody's not like that. It's not going to be that way. And thinking that I was going to have an extremely different experience. And I find myself having experiences similar to some of my aunts, similar to my grandmother or older women in my family that have told me better before I got in those situations. And when I found myself in that situation, I felt shame, which is a new emotion for me because not new as far as experiencing it, but new as far as defining it and identifying it. And that I found through therapy. I didn't realize it was shame that I was feeling. I was feeling shame because I felt like I got this warning. I got the stories ahead of time and I thought that I was special or different or whatever. And then I get in the situation and now I don't want to tell anybody because they all warned me. And so, what I would say is that there's there's a lot of ways to learn in life. Two ways that stand out to me are like through experience, and the other is through others' experience. You can watch people have experiences and take notes and operate differently. Unfortunately, I'm the type of person that I have to actually like I'll see it and be like, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, but I'll still try it because I have to try it for myself. I don't suggest that if you can learn just strictly off of others. But I noticed that as I get older, I'm less wanting to like try things that I know could be bad and doing more background ahead of time. And I know that on Themis' channel we've been talking about vetting and whether or not you can vet. And I think I agree that you can't really fully vet somebody, but what you can do, you should do. So like I'm an advocate of doing background checks. I'm an advocate of if you have any kind of like not sure feeling and you have a woman in your life that you respect that you think is a good judge of character, um, or even a man, if you have a person in your life that you think is a good um, judge of character and that has your best interests at heart, don't be afraid to introduce the person you're dating to that person because if that person is not meant to be part of your life, the people in your life that love you, that care about you, that support you, they're not gonna like it, and they may not voice it. But what I didn't pick up on is I took my ex to my mom's friend's house for a barbecue, and it was all the friends there, and I had seen them interact with people before. I saw them interact with my first boyfriend, and they were loving, inviting. Oh, do you want a plate, hun? And then when I brought this my third boyfriend over, my ex, um, they were standoffish and kind of quiet, and it's like situational awareness. Look at how the people who love you interact with the person that you think loves you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
And
perfect sense.
And then with the background checks, I've talked to a lot of my guy friends about it, and they're like, "That's invasive. That's an invasion of privacy. Blah blah, whatever." My ex was a felon in multiple states, and like cannot return to those states. And I only knew that he had a case from his 20s in California. So I'm thinking, oh, like he told me about the situation. I'm thinking, oh, he's so honest, he's so straightforward. He told me about what happened, and they were young, and they had whatever situation going on, and I excused it because I felt like, oh wow, he's being so open and honest with me about this. Especially if a guy says he has a record, even if he tells you one thing, still look into it, because it was so much deeper than I thought. And to me, it's not an invasion of privacy, because if it's public record, and it's public record for a reason, and if there's nothing to hide there, then it shouldn't be a problem. Nobody with a record is afraid of you to look up their record. Or without a record, my God. Nobody without a record is afraid for you to look up their record. That's all. And
You know what? That's the problem for me, because I'm just like, I shouldn't have to do, like I'm not saying don't do it.
Yeah.
If you're going at this point, I'm of the mindset of understanding, like, if I'm going to date, then it's something I have to be willing and ready to do. But it's just so ridiculous to me, to the point where I'll just sit and be like, I just don't want to be bothered, because I shouldn't have to do all that. You know what I mean?
I feel it. Like, I would say background checks range between $20 and $50, and to me, that's worth it for peace of mind. It may not catch everything, but if there's something big, like there's sex offender registries, because I know people who have gotten in relationships, fallen in love, and then found out their partner was a sex offender. There's registries for ex-felons and for people who are out on parole. Those things are there for a reason, and other people use them. And I know that we shouldn't have to, and I definitely agree with that. It's kind of taxing. Like, why do I have to do this? But I think it's important. And then also, if a woman comes to warn you, consider that it might not just be her being jealous. She might legit be trying to protect you. Because after my ex, I tried to reach out to a girl that he was dating, literal girl. No, he was 10 years older than me. I'm 30 right now. He was 10 years older than me 5 years ago. So he's about 35 to 37 right now. I don't know. Somewhere in that range. I know, but I don't know off the top of my head. He's somewhere between like 35 and 37, and he was dating a 19-year-old. And like, that doesn't seem so extreme, but when I think about the fact that I was 19 when he was dating me, and now he's dating another 19-year-old, and how violent and scary his past is, I felt guilt. So I called the girl and I told her, I said, like, this is who I am. I don't want him back or anything. And I don't expect you to believe me or to do anything with this, but I just want you to know this is who he is, and be careful. And I was like, you don't have to trust me because I'm his ex. Go look it up on the state website. And the girl got really defensive, and she was like, I know my man, blah, blah, blah. He has an open case with her, and she has a baby by him. And so, like, when other women come to you, don't always be so defensive. Like, some women do have your best interest at heart too, and they don't it's not always like a jealousy thing. There may still be feelings there, but sometimes when other women go through things, they're trying to protect you, and sometimes they don't know the best way to articulate it, so it comes off weird. But if you have any doubt, check into it. Sorry. Tangent.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It helps me when you guys talk, when I'm trying to do all this other stuff. Yeah, no, definitely have to. Like I said, I was of the mindset. I am of the mindset, like, for me, because even reckoning with all of this stuff, it's just like, it's one of those things where how am I supposed to be motivated to even want to try to partner with these people if I'm going into a hostile environment? You know what I mean? And just this level of deception and the level of hostility and the level of sadism and all of that. It's just more so like I can anticipate a more joyful, peaceful existence in just kind of being to myself. Now, I will say that I'm happy that I have my children, because I could see that being something that would at this point in my life, if I didn't have children, I could see myself being kind of like, I think I want to have a baby. You know what I mean? And then that would be one of those ends for the men to kind of leverage to run their trickery, because I would have that having a veil over what I was actually seeing. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's those desires that you have that will veil you to what you're actually seeing, to where you're like, oh no, it's not that. Oh no, it's not that. Oh, he's just he's a little arrogant, but it's sexy. You know, like things like that. You'll see it in a certain way because you really just want to have a baby, or you really just want to be married, or you really just want to fulfill your duty that you don't even know you're carrying that burden in your soul.
Yeah. That attraction to arrogance, I had that real bad.
Yeah.
Just
I can remember my two baby fathers. I can remember time when I'm just like, yeah, I know they're arrogant. And mind you, you're talking about, letting your family, and the family's like, they're a piece of shit. And then you're just like, no, you just don't get him. He could be better. You don't hear when he talks to me, all that dumb stuff.
For me, I was like, I know he's an asshole, but I'm kind of an asshole too sometimes. Like, trying to rationalize why he's an asshole.
And like, it's just his sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh,
hold on, I just left somebody. I was doing a bunch of different things. Who's missing? I had just posted too. I'm gonna post it again. What's his name? Marvel Cousins. I posted the link. You said you wanted, or someone said that you said you wanted to come on. Valerie, hi. How are you? Valerie? You still with us? Okay. Well, and then somebody was just here, but they dropped off. I happened to come in and I saw somebody, but I'm not sure who that was. Whoever that was, I'm sorry. Sorry, my brain just, I was doing everything. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. Hi. How are you?
I'm Jazzy Fruitcakes. I'm not sure if my name shot up.
I did see you come on earlier. Hi, Jazzy.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
Okay. I'm good. I just I kind of wanted to add to the conversation without rambling.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the topic is about single mothers, right?
Yeah, so the topic is, we watched some clips. The idea that men view single mothers as losers just off the bat. Because you are a single mother, they consider you a loser. And so if you're having experiences where you weren't quite sure, like they didn't quite fit with the dynamic of what you thought was going on, that's why.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm on topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I am coming on just because I'm not a single mother myself, but I was raised by a single mother that, based on what you just presented, she never intended on being a single mother because she was married, and then my parents were divorced when I was 1 year old. So I want to say like maybe a few years ago, she admitted to me that at one point she never wanted to have kids. So I assumed that when she met my dad that once they got married, she changed that. But my thing is, like, they were married for years before I was born, and then they ended up getting divorced. And my dad was the one that walked away from the relationship. And unfortunately, I've come to realize that my dad is that black man that has a preference, quote unquote, right? So my mom was a light skinned black woman, and the woman that he ended up marrying and cheated on her with was a Mexican woman. When that marriage didn't work out, he ended up having a white girlfriend after that. And then after that relationship, he had another white girlfriend. So I'm just saying that just to say, like, my dad is that black man from CNGs, who they really choose. My dad is that man. And I've had to come to that bitter realization about that. And one thing I appreciate about my mom, um, after they divorced, while I feel like part of her was broken from that, but I feel like a part of her was already broken. And we come from that Southern Christian background where the man is centered. And I think unknowingly, my mom went against um, her original thought of, like, she never wanted to have kids. And then she met a man, fell in love with him, was married for a while, and had his child, which was something he always desired. He wanted a daughter. He knew what he wanted to name her, and he got that. But he still walked away from that marriage. Um, and unfortunately, I feel like my mom doesn't understand that she grew up in that black male worship culture. Um, and so, in me growing up and progressing or whatever, I've been alone in my realizations, which is what has brought me to this area of YouTube where I'm like just trying to figure things out and heal on my own. But unfortunately for my mom, I'm just not sure if she realizes what happened. You understand? So I just want to just, I guess, kind of be that voice for the single mothers. Like, I want to be that voice for your children. And when it comes to the fathers that have walked away and abandoned their responsibilities, your children on their own will figure it out, because that's what I had to do. And in my own personal realization, I opened up to my mom a little bit, and she told me that when they were divorcing, my dad told her, like, don't say anything bad to me about him. And her response to him was, don't worry, she'll find out on her own. And that's exactly what I did. And only when I came to her about my realization is when she opened up to me about that. So I just really want the single mothers to know that it's okay. Like, I get it. You didn't understand. Like, I get that. You kind of fell for the trick of falling for that man and the fairy tale that came with it. But once that man fails you, I want you to understand that your children, without you having to say it, will find out on their own. And I don't want you to ever feel bad for that. I don't. I just, that's it. That's pretty much my message. I don't want to ramble on. So that's it.
Have
I
you?
think you're on mute.
Okay, my stuff delays and it makes me look really stupid. I wanted to say I very much so appreciate your comments, and it is needed and it is important because the healing this, it isn't just about any one particular element. It is about the children as well. And even like inside of my book, I spoke a big part of the reason I wrote the book and am so big on this healing is for the children, because I recognize that being in that state was making me a bad mother, like flat out. I wasn't living up to the standard of motherhood that I wanted. And we need to, that's part of the reason why I think that happens, is because we feel like we can't include the children in it. It's something we have to hide from them as well. And like that perfectionism, perfectionism. Is that the word? I think it is perfectionism. Or that perfectionist spirit. It makes us feel isolated, and then that makes us feel angry, and then it's just a cycle. And in the midst of all that, you can't be the nurturing, present, loving, aware guide and respite that you're supposed to be for the children. So it is very important. You have a place here to speak, and I invite you to come anytime you want to, because we do need the children we need to hear our children. And even if we're hearing, as peers, you might be my peer, but we need to hear that, because now we have the opportunity to heal those childhood wounds too that might have contributed to the people that we allow to get us pregnant and, perpetuating these cycles. So I very much so appreciate your presence here.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that because I was disappointed to find out that, like, when my mom did open up to me, I was disappointed to find out that my dad said to her, like, "Don't say anything bad about me," and that made me question, like, who do you think you married? Like, what is the kind of woman that you thought you married? And then for you to be the one that walked away from the marriage to say that to her, I think it was kind of messed up, because I think it highlights like a lot of what we witness on these panels from these men. They create fairy tales of what they think we are, and then they project that onto us. And so for my own father to project that on my mom, and my mom having never said anything bad about my dad, and I came to the realization, like, you're not the kind of man that I want to marry. And if I want to have kids, I don't want you, a man like you, to be the father of my children. And it didn't even stop at my dad. Like, it was like my grandfather and my uncles. Like, it was like I started to look outward. You know what I mean? And I was just realizing, like, wow, hold on. Yes, hold on.
You okay? You still with us, Jazzy? I'm not sure. We're still. Oh wait, you're on mute. Did you mute yourself or? Okay, so Jazzy's on mute.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Somebody was in the background, so I had to put it on
Okay.
mute.
Okay.
But I forgot where I left off. But pretty much I was just saying, like, for like my dad to know the value in my mom when he decided to marry her, and then after years of being married to her, and then like just a year after I'm born to decide to walk away from that. I feel like the content that most of us have gravitated to in this space as far as Black women evolving, it's helped me to make more sense of it, and to have a forgiveness of my mom, my grandmothers, my aunt. I've developed a forgiveness of them making that mistake that I never wanted to make, because I never really understood going as far as getting married to a man who will walk away from your marriage. That never makes sense to me. So I don't
Yeah.
judge women who are quote unquote baby mamas, because in a sense my mom was that, and she was married, but it was my dad that walked away from that. So I guess that's it. I don't want to I don't, I don't want to ramble on. That's it.
Well, it wasn't rambling. Like I said, every word you said was meaningful, and there's people, if you look in the chat, that are resonating with what you said, and I definitely resonate with what you said as a mother, and that appreciation of knowing, because I had those kind of moments with my daughter. Like, we had some tough times these last couple of years, and she got to see who people were, on both ends, and that was something that I experienced too, as the mother of her, realizing, you never did say anything negative about him or his family or anything, but like the opposite wasn't true. You know what I mean? Like, even that comment I mentioned before about, oh, if you're over 30 and you're not, I know, even if it wasn't direct, there was some implication, because that's why she came and asked me. You know what I mean? So it there's a movie, Hope Floats, with Sandra Bullock, and her husband leaves her for her friend or something in the beginning of the movie, and they move down south with her mother, and then the father comes because the grandmother passes away, and the little girl the whole time was like romanticizing her dad. She was daddy's girl, and blaming Sandra Bullock for breaking up the family and messing up their lives and stuff. And so she had her little bag packed when her dad was about to leave, and he's trying to tell her, oh no, I gotta go, I gotta take this time with my new woman, and we gotta figure out how we're living and everything like that. And it was just really, I was a teenager or something when I first saw that, and that always stuck with me, even before I had a child. That always stuck with me, the way he was putting his stuff in the trunk, and she was trying to put her bag in there. He took it out, and threw it down and everything. It was just so jarring, that moment. And from then on, though, the little girl was fine because she understood that it wasn't her mother. And like, her mother even went so far as, when they were leaving, her mother wrote a letter from the dad to the little girl to keep up that feeling in the little girl's mind. Oh no, your daddy really wants you. This isn't about you. So it's sad how, like, we have to bear the brunt of all of that, of the children's perceptions of us, of the children's perceptions of the situation, of trying to manage and make sure that the kids don't take on more than they need to, of trying to be mature and fair and everything like that, in the midst of so much disrespect and disregard, and, like I said, sadism in some cases.
Yeah, for a long time, I used to look at just not my mom, but like my grandmothers. It was immature because I was a child. Um, but like I used to look at them like, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be whatever they were, to not be able to keep a man, you know? And that's a part of that black male worship. Like, it's something wrong with you where a man don't want to be with you no more. And that was so wrong. But in my pursuit to not be
Fattening you
that,
up for the slaughter.
Exactly.
I
And I
said
had to have a
fattening you up for the slaughter.
Yeah, and I had to have a heart to heart with my granddad, or I tried to have a heart to heart with my grandfather. Like, what, because he said something to me. I don't want to say it verbatim, but I just want to say, like, basically what he said to me pretty much showed me like my value was based on whether a man was attracted to me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And as an adult, I realized that's kind of messed up for you to say that to your own grandchild. Like, she's a child, and you're looking at her like her value is based on whether a man's going to be attracted to her or not. So they kind of like really messed me up. But dang, I think I lost my thought. But I was just like, I don't want to be whatever it was that made the I ignorantly thought I don't want to be whatever it was that the women in my family were, that made them lose the men, right? But I've come to realize like it wasn't them, it wasn't the women, it was the men. And so while I tried to like, I don't want to be them, it was actually my saving grace, because I'm not them. I'm still not them, but there's a different side to it that I see.
Yeah, because you could have been, And if you went into the situation thinking, oh, I'm different, and then you get the same, like they said, the same black man, the same situation, because it really is, they'll make you believe that it's something deficient in you, but really it's just their whims. They wanted you, and then they got you, and then they didn't want you as much anymore. They wanted something else. And instead of them just owning up to that and what that says about them, it's a you thing. It can't just be, oh, you know what? I didn't really know what I wanted, or I wanted that, but then when I got it, it wasn't the same, and I wanted to try to transition out, or even just I knew that I wanted something this person didn't want, and I'm going to own up to the fact that I was deceitful about getting it, and that was wrong, and that I wouldn't like that if it was done to me. Not being able to just say those really human things and accept them. It has to be, oh no, you're deficient, and you're for the streets, and nobody wants you, your value, and I did that thing, but it's fine that I did that thing because I'm a man and I'm a high value man, and there's all these qualifiers to justify sadistic behavior.
Yeah, and I find myself, like, I'm in my mid-30s now, and I find myself encountering men and having situations that I feel like I should have been more prepared for, like in my early age, but because of what was impressed upon me early on about my granddaddy telling me, what a man wasn't going to find attractive, for so long, I was chasing the wrong thing. And so now in my mid 30s, I'm like, I'm on a different level. And I find myself encountering certain situations where I'm like, what is going on? And then after it happens, I realize these were lessons I should have learned earlier on, but I didn't learn them because I come from a family that is like centered around worshiping black men pretty much. And I'm very alone in that awareness. Like I'm aware of this, and I'm still surrounded by my family that doesn't get that. And if I were to try to voice that opinion, they're not going to get it. They're going to think I'm being
Well,
nasty. They're going
according
to think I'm being mean, or just,
Well, it's hard. I say this to people about all different kinds of things. All of us are on these like spiritual journeys where we're learning something in particular that is unique to us, right? And so I feel like a lot of people, if you talk to them, feel like they're having that experience of feeling like a black sheep within their family, like they think differently or something like that. And all of us, I always say to my daughter, we're the answers to the prayers of our ancestors. If there's something unique to you specifically within your family that is different, a way of thinking or something, just lean into that, and just know that they don't know, they know not what they do, kind of thing, and don't internalize it. Because I know for a long time, like I was messed up because I felt like I was seeing things and patterns and stuff within my family, and not like to try to down talk my family. Like I said, I'm quite privileged in the life that I've had in a lot of ways, but just understanding that I'm seeing things and attempting to do things in a completely different way than anybody that I've seen or known, and that is going to be isolating, and that is going to be uncomfortable, and it may feel like you're being attacked, because sometimes you are, because you're shifting paradigms, you're altering reality, and so that there's been wars fought for that for that, you know what I mean?
yeah, I do. And I thank you for this space. I thank ultimately Themis for bringing us all together. But I'm just glad that, like, I think I've kind of come around to finding my community, even though in my own life I feel like alone a little bit. But I'm grateful that I'm not alone ultimately. So that's it. I'm gonna jump off of here,
All right,
let you move on.
thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.
Marvel Cousins. Don't tell me you went and got a snack and you weren't listening. All right. I'm going to go on murder magic tricks.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure 'cause I'm on my Bluetooth at work. Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to come up and say like I'm very grateful for all the women on the panel, everybody's story, and just the fact that as women were able to like come together and have these discussions on these platforms, and we may not always see eye to eye on everything, but we're trying to do the work and we're trying to be introspective and we're trying to look at the roles that we play in our lives and other people's lives and relationships, and we're evolving. We're trying to do the work so that we can evolve and level up and do better. And honestly, that's just human nature. Like the whole point is to get to the next level. And it's so weird to me, like listening to everything that everybody has said on the panel. It's like somebody said, I can't remember whose live it was or who said it, but they basically said that men have not evolved. Like they're very stagnant. Like they just keep trying to do the same thing over and over again, and just even a little shake up to the paradigm. Like they just double down, and as women, we've always had to fight through that because no matter where you go in history, women have always been an underclass. So we've always been oppressed. We always have understood oppression. So it's like men can't comprehend. They can't comprehend being oppressed the same way that we comprehend it. All they know is that they want to hold on to power, and it's just very interesting. I really appreciate hearing other women talk because um, I don't have anybody to talk to about this type of stuff because I've been feeling this way for a while, and I found all these YouTubers and a lot of female content creators and all these things that I've been feeling. I've never been able to put words to them, and now I can put words to them, and now I know that I'm not the only one. You know, so but I just want to come on and say that, and say hey to everybody. If you've seen me, I've been in everybody's chat boxes, you know, being a mess and all that. But that's all I wanted to say, and I'll drop that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming over, and I'm glad that's what the space is for. Like all of us, every single one of us in this habitat of, I guess you could call it, Black women empowerment, is needed for something. There's different phases on this walk, and it's important that we all be there and you can hop back and forth and everything, because sometimes there's a time to be really angry and sometimes there's a time to smite people, and then there's other times where it's time to just sit back and reflect and look at your thoughts and figure out what's going on, and make strategy and all of that. And then we have that space on Themis's channel to go and feel protected in a way that we haven't been able to, you know. But I very much so appreciate your words tonight. I welcome you and I thank you so much for coming.
Vitamin. So I wanted to. It was Tiff was talking before. I couldn't really hear, so I went in and out. When she was saying that, sometimes you have to mother yourself and um go over those situations in order for you, while you're parenting your children, to be able to learn through the process. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And that's why I'm able to like reflect and have these conversations with the girls and talk to them about what, is going on with them. I'm going to give you a story. So
Well, hold on
Encanto.
1 second. I want to, because
Mhm.
Marvel Cousins hadn't talked yet.
Oh, so
Let
yeah,
him
go
go
ahead.
ahead and get his in, and then we'll go ahead and do the after show and let you finish out, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, ladies, how y'all doing?
Good.
Okay. I just want to just let y'all know that black men care about what y'all say. I know it doesn't always seem like it, but it does. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I told a story about a real life situation that happened to me, and I think LB was up there, and I was, I went through a life and death situation when I was in the military, and I didn't know if I was going to like live or die. I ended up going into kidney failure, and I was some of the women were very understanding. Some of the women were clowning me, and it kind of got to me. So, and people tell me, man, you can't let that stuff get to you like that. You can't take it so personal. But it just kind of like hit a nerve. And then I asked my ex fiance, because she's the one who nursed me back to health. And I asked her, I'm like, dude, what made you want to save my life? What made you want to, be there for me like that? And she started like laughing at first, because she's like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you? Why are you talking like this? And I was like, you know what? And she was like, you must have been talking to somebody. I'm like, well, it wasn't really that I was talking to someone. I just, went on something, and I, expressed my true feelings, and like some women took to it. Some women laughed at it. Some women accused me of lying, trolling. And she's like, you can't let that stuff get to you. She's like, I never regret saving your life, because I'd rather have you here than have you dead. And it just kind of just hit me. I'm like, have black men gotten so bad that when a man is honest and upfront, that the women are like laughing like it's funny? And that's not funny. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. I went through 7 years of dialysis, infections, anything you can name. I went through that, and I know it probably happened due to my time in the Middle East when I was deployed in the Air Force. I don't care about that. I do it all over again. But that's what hurts me. I'm starting to realize we really have did all the black women wrong, because when a black woman can listen to you tell a real life situation from the heart, and they just laugh at it like it's funny, like it's a game, like it's not a game, and that hurt. I'm not gonna lie, that hurt.
Well, I can resonate with that. Um, that's something very personal. And my grandfather actually was on dialysis before he died. He was diabetic pretty much all my life, and then they were actually going to take his leg, and they had him in a medically induced coma, and then they burnt his feet because he was in a medically induced coma, so he couldn't say this is too hot. And then his feet were messed up, and they wouldn't heal because of the diabetes. And so then they were going to have to take his leg, and they told him on like a Saturday, and they were going to take it on Monday, and he was going by Monday. So that being said, it is a hard thing, and it's a scary thing, sickness and stuff. But what I can say to you is that I wouldn't even, if I were you, I wouldn't even take that to manosphere spaces. Just because when emotions are high and people are talking about, everybody's kind of in their own space. Like, we're sharing, but we're all kind of in our own experiences as we're sharing them. And if your experience isn't aligned with the experiences of the majority of the people that are in there, then you may get negativity that you weren't counting on and you weren't looking for, because you're probably just looking at it like, oh, people are sharing their pain. But it's a very specific kind of pain. And it's nothing against you. You're not a bad person because of it. You just can't relate to this specific kind of pain. Your pain is still valid. But because we're having a very specific kind of pain that comes from men centering themselves, even though your experience was a real experience, when you're centering yourself, you don't realize it, but you're asking us to, like we're talking about the ways it has hurt us, to focus on you and making you feel good. This is a space of women saying we have this very specific pain point because of men. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense, and that's when I realized I had to step back and realize, like, everything you just said. It actually, when you just said that, it actually put it into place for me, because I had to step back and realize myself. I'm like, we must have really did some, bad things to our women for them to be so, to be so, to have to not really care about someone going through something like that. We must have really messed up, and it took that making me realize, and that's what made me realize, where we could do better as men, and I can never deny that, and because I can't deny that. I can't deny it.
And so this is my offering to you as some, advice. If you're going to go into spaces that are focused primarily on women speaking to their pain points, you may want to leave, your personal pain points at the door. Because YouTube is a big space, and I'm not saying you're not welcome here. You're welcome here as long as you've been fine. I'm happy to have you, and I'm happy to have you bear witness. But if you're going to come into spaces like this, then you have to be willing to center what we're talking about and not put your male experience in there. Doesn't mean it's not important. Doesn't mean it's not something you need to, work on when you can, but not here.
I understand.
Does that make sense?
I guess I'm sorry. Oh yeah, it makes sense. You're right. I guess I just equated it, put them two together, because I remember how Black women were years ago, and I see how Black women are now. They're losing their sensitivity towards the Black men, and it must be our fault, because I would say about 10, 12 years ago, things were different. And now I guess we've made y'all so mad that the sensitivity is kind of starting to go away. I feel like when it comes down to it, y'all still gonna be there for us. But I know it's not like how it was. And I've had a hard time facing that, but I have to face it.
Well, it sounds to me like you have someone, I would say for you, don't worry about Black women as a whole. And I think that that's the sad thing about, from my experience between Black women and men, is a lot of Black women, if you sit down and listen to all of our stories, we wanted to be there for these men. It wasn't like we weren't going in like, oh, we want to take something. We were like, no, we're going to love them. We're going to take care of them. We're going to be a family, and we're going to do all this great stuff together. And they didn't appreciate it. For whatever reason, there was always something better. There was always another, more feminine, more fit, more friendly, whatever it is. And we're just coming into the awareness of what those more things are, what those things are that they're saying we're not, and understanding that that's more of a them problem than an us problem. But it sounds like you have I don't know if you're still together or not, but it sounds like you have someone who cared enough about you, focused on her, and focused on the things about her that, you appreciate, and that, you are blessed.
Oh, he's not with her anymore.
Huh?
He's not with her anymore.
He's not. Oh, well, still,
yeah.
Take yourself back into that space and just, think about those things, because I'm working on being able to pinpoint the positives in the situations that I have had, not to be open to those same people, because it was way more bad than it was good, but to be able to say, okay, these were the things that I like. These are the things I want to resonate with. These are the things I want to amplify in my life and bring back into my life. And so just work on that. Don't don't look like Deanne was saying. You ain't got to worry about all of us. All you need is one. And if you could draw one like that to you before, then you need to sit and figure out what happened. And I'm not saying it's your fault. I don't know what happened, but where y'all disconnected at, and work on that so that you can draw that back in again and keep it.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, some of it, I would blame majority of it on me because I wasn't the easiest person to deal with when I was going through. When she took care of me for years, all the way until I got a transplant. So during that time, I wasn't the easiest person to deal with. I can admit that. But she always said that that wasn't what made her leave. She said what made her leave is, and I guess a lot of women feel this way. She just said, you just too old fashioned. You believe in like keep the woman in the home and you just go do what you need to do and take care of the family. She's like, I just ain't you. I just have never been with a guy that's just this old fashioned before. And I think that's, and I know I have to find a, now.
What is old fashioned? Like, what specifically is old fashioned when you're talking about it? Like, because when I hear that, it makes me wonder: were you emotionally available? And I'm not saying you weren't, because there's no way for me not to know. But was it that you felt like, okay, I'm providing, and when I come home, I don't really want to talk to you. I just want to relax in the home that you've made comfortable for me. You know, I don't want you to use your creativity outside of the home where she might have wanted to. You know, I don't know. But when you're saying she said you're more old fashioned, do you know specifically what she meant by that?
Yeah, I think I know. I told her many times that I seen that she just seemed happier when she was in the home with our daughter, and she wasn't really agitated. She would smile a lot. She was very playful and just have it seemed like she was like really enjoying herself. But I noticed the difference when she started going to work, and I told her, look, I'm starting to see a different side of you. I don't like this side. Like, why don't you just stay home and I'll do all that. I'll take care of all that stuff. And she didn't really like that. She was like, I just feel like you trying to just keep me locked up. She's like, I know that's what you seen growing up. I know you seen your father, doing everything for y'all and for your mother, and your mother, didn't really work until later on. And I know that's what you want me to do. But she was like, I'm not your mother. You can't, do like how your father did. And it was hard in the beginning, but then after being by yourself for X amount of time, you realize, where she was coming from. And I had to use that time that she left to understand that. And like, we still have a good, very good relationship. She talks about all the time wanting to come back, to my house, and I would love to have her. But I told her I don't want to force you, because you seem like that you believe that I was trying to force you to be the woman I wanted you to be. I don't want to put you in that position anymore. And I just want to, whatever I can do to make the necessary improvements, you could just be upfront with me. And she said many times that she felt like she couldn't be upfront with me. She felt like I was gonna take it to heart too much, or and I had time to think about it. And I'm starting to realize maybe that's what we're doing wrong as men. We some of us don't know how to love our women the right way. Some of us want to, but just don't, have the qualities, or whatever the case may be. And I'm starting to realize it. I had to learn my own lesson to understand that. Go through my own, my own issues, and realize, okay, you know what? You can't be afraid to let a woman, be what she wants to be, because you just holding her back. And I had to learn that.
May I respond?
Well, that's great. Sure.
So,
Okay, LB.
I think I might be a little delayed. I'm sorry, but I understand that dealing with medical situations like that are very difficult. And like Vitamin said, I'm like, is that your screen name? I keep forgetting. I know Level Up Mom. But like she said, I understand that. I definitely understand that it was a difficult situation, that it was a painful situation, that you were expressing your pain, like she said. And I think that Vitamin put it really beautifully when she said, essentially, that your story is valid and your pain is valid. Even how you feel is valid. However, this may not be the best space for you to express that. And I thought that it was really interesting that she highlighted that you had come into a woman's space while they were sharing their pain at the hands of Black men and center yourself. And you acknowledged that she said that that you were centering yourself, and then you continue to center yourself. Um, and I know that it may not feel like that's what you did, but I would encourage you to watch the playback and just reflect on what you did here today. I don't want to go too deep into it, but since my name was brought into it as a witness, I will say that from my perspective, what I saw was when you came on, I believe it was Themis's Live, it may have been another one, but when you came on talking about the kidney thing, it was also irrelevant to the conversation. It was also in a predominantly Black women's space during a conversation where it wasn't appropriate for you to center your story. And I think that what happened was you were getting a lot of negative pushback. I did not see people laughing at you because of your story. I did see people critiquing you on your timing, on whether or not we were getting the complete story. As with now, when I just listened to you again, I still felt like I was getting a sugar coated version of what happened, or a obviously one-sided, because you only have your perspective, but one-sided version of what happened. And I think that there's a lot more that goes to that story. And then I also saw women that were criticizing you for and I'm not sure if you accepted a kidney from that woman or if she helped you get a kidney, but they were under the impression that you received her kidney and then the relationship didn't work and you didn't fight for it. So that's what the critique was more so about. It was more so about how you show your appreciation, because words are one thing and actions are another. So I think that you got a lot of negative feedback in that situation. And I think that it is possible that somebody may have laughed at you. Multiple people may have laughed at you, but I do not think it was the majority. But I also understand that how one person's laugh in a moment like that can be hurtful, and that can be something that you center and focus on. So the main thing I would say, because that's my perspective and it's obviously different from your perspective, I would say the best thing for you to do if you feel like you're being misunderstood here is to go back and review that video, and to go back and review this video and just see if there's any common traits, and try to be objective when you look at yourself. It'll help you grow.
I appreciate that. I mean, I feel like this is needed for and us as men. We should listen more, because I mean, I feel like it's gonna make us better men if we listen to y'all, and try to get an understanding, try to try to understand the way that y'all feel about us, and looking back on it, you're right, and I didn't mean to center it around myself. What I was trying to do is help people understand that it's Black women that still love Black men and vice versa. I mean, and I went about it the wrong way, and because it's not about me. I mean, I think
I want to interject in it. I don't think it's that where I think, like, because I get you, I feel you. You want to still say like it's not hopeless, but I think the thing is, the women are rallying around each other because there are certain things that y'all not going to be able to heal for us. The people, and I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm saying who you represent to us in this moment. You're not going to be able to help with us because there are certain things that we got to rally around each other and build up within each other, so then we can turn and face and discern and smite. I'm gonna keep saying that word because it feels right to me in my gut, and smite some of y'all. But if you want to be an ally, if you want to actually help us, your best bet would be to take what you learn and translate it to your brethren. You know what I mean? Because most of them don't want to listen to us because we're women and we're the meat. Now, they may call you a simp, they may say it all of that, but like Deanne was saying to you, that's why I don't know if you noticed, there's this fascination of the men with Themis and with what they perceive his sexuality to be and all of that. But it's because despite whatever their ideas may be about who and what he is, they see that he is a beacon to women, that women flock to him, that women respect him, that women listen to him, that women defer to him.
Yeah.
And there's something about that that's like, well, how could he do? He's not a man. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not about those performances of manhood. Just like I was speaking about earlier on in this live about just certain things I just picked up inherently, even though I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Men have that ability as well. And if you go back to your friend, if you might need to take some time, keep coming to these spaces. Keep listening. Listen. Yeah. Check in with yourself to see how it makes you feel. Check in with yourself to see how it resonates with you and what things it's lighting up inside of you and awakening inside of you, and see where that takes you. And then when you are solid in that, then go back to your friends or your brethren with that stiff back and that solid foundation. And when they try to hit you with the stuff that they try to hit, oh, you a simp, oh, you a white knight, oh, you a this and you a that, and they can't knock you down or sway you, they're going to look at you the same way they look at Steam. It's like, wait a minute, what's up with him? You know what I mean?
No, you're right. Brothers ain't gonna admit it. Even the guys that's in the black manosphere, they want women. They want black women to. They want y'all's attention like we all do. And sometimes it's hard to face it, and maybe that's probably why they get a little bit jealous with Themis. And because they want what he's able to put together, and they want to be able to interact with women and talk to women. And some of them may have a hard time going about doing it, but it's what they want. Because I mean, and we as men, we all know some things just sound sweeter when a woman says it. So a woman could dog you in the nicest, sweetest voice in the world, and you'll accept it because it sounds a million times better than some man, cursing that you're dogging you out. You're instantly gonna get defensive. But when a woman says it, it kind of catches your ear, and she could be talking down on you or going off on you for good reason, but you're gonna take to that in a different kind of way. And I think a lot of the guys, that's what they want. They want the women. They want y'all's attention. I mean, we all want y'all's attention. Some of them just go about the wrong way doing it, and some of them just don't know how to do it properly. And I think that's I think it has to do with that. I mean, they want to fight to get y'all and get y'all's attention. Unfortunately, it might come with some disrespect or some just being it might come in a bad way, but they want what Themis is able to have with y'all, and I understand. And I like you and you and LB talking to me. It sounds better coming from y'all, and I think a lot of brothers just they want that same thing. Even the guys that's in the deepest pits of the manosphere, they want it too, because it just eases your mind, and that's what I want for all the black men, to get they act together and get that woman in your life, because that's just what I seen growing up. A woman in your life is gonna make your life easier. Don't try to fight her. Try to have her on your side. And I'm really starting to come to a true. I'm really starting to understand it more and more each day, and tuning into y'all, in different other panels on different streams is giving me a better insight of what y'all have to deal with. And you know, I just want y'all to understand. I'm coming from the heart. It's not trolling. It's not none of that stuff like that. I'm coming from the heart.
Well, I appreciate that. I take all the positivity that I can get. Like I said, you're always welcome to come in. I appreciate your contribution to the conversation. And I, just keep coming and like I said, keep listening. Just keep listening and if you don't have, because I don't know your life, I don't assume, but therapy helps. I have a therapist. Most of the people, we always talk about therapy. You'd be surprised the benefit of therapy, journaling, things like that'll do for you, because it's really, I don't know if you never been here before. This is my little mascot I keep, because this makes me think. I call about exploring your mind. You got to dig in there. You got to figure out what's in there, what doesn't belong there, what you need to get out of there. You know what I mean? And more dudes do that, then we might be able to do something in a couple generations. But, But thank you so much for coming up here. You come back, okay?
Yes, ma'am. And I appreciate y'all listening to me. And I just want to say one last thing. Sometimes the reason why brothers cut up in different chats in different channels is to get y'all attention. I know it doesn't always seem like it, but that's really what it's all about. When you see guys going crazy in chats, it's because of y'all. It ain't for no other reason. But that's all I wanted to say. But I appreciate you letting me, say my piece, and both of y'all, LB, Vitamin. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a good night.
All right, y'all too.
All right.
I do have one.
All righty. So I am going to play the outro, and then I'm going to let Mango Woman have a few minutes to finish what she was trying to tell us, and then we will close out. Let me pull this outro up real quick. And by real quick, I mean as slow as this computer is going to move.
Oh.
LB just dropped one off. All right. Hey, Mango Woman. You can go ahead and.
Well, I just wanted to conclude. I guess my main point would be for us to start getting to the core of our healing, and I was going to reference how, like, recently the trigger for what we've been healing for a while, working on things, but I feel like we got to the end of it. Weirdly enough, it was the movie Encanto that triggered, like, it triggered me, my daughter. We was watching it, and I felt like this overwhelming, like, sense of, like, grief came over in me, because the grandmother, she's like mourning her whole life. So instead of enjoying gifts, right, she's trying to control everything. And I just remember me trying to be perfect after my mistake of being a teen mom. It's like you can't never get caught up again, and you got to go to school and you got to focus. Like, just worry about grounding, and looking good, not like taking time to live, to breathe. And then my daughter, all she see is this woman who's like going to school, doesn't have time to talk and to check in, not understanding that she's dealing with her own dynamic in school and her own trauma experience she's having too. She can't come to me because I'm like, school, you gotta focus, gotta become something, gotta do, like, so she feels like I'm not the person that she could go to. So then as I'm crying, right after this movie is over, I'm bawling, crying. I'm telling her like how I felt like, because I came to this country from a third world country as a teenager. So, and then like, I've never been back home because like just nobody, I just had to basically drop my life. And it felt like, her whole town was distraught and her life just got dropped and she had to start over. Like, I never looked back. So it just felt like a part of me was just denied. And then I'm talking about that and I'm bawling, crying. She's talking about how she felt the pressure of like trying to keep it together and not being able to come to me because I was almost like focused in school and stuff like that. And we go through like this whole hour of just like talking and crying, like forgiving each other and stuff. And then the next day I called my mom. I was like, hey, Mom, we need to talk. So I explained to her the whole dynamic of the movie. And then I said, can you tell me what your experience was like? And then my mother like opened up and tell me how she was dealing with like these horrible domestic violence issues from my own father. Now, my father raised me. I knew him as my dad, like the person who always talk about going to school, being better educated and stuff like that. So that was the person I was attached to. So I didn't understand all of the dynamic of their relationship. So as she's talking to me, it started to make sense why she was so disconnected, because she herself was trying to keep it together. And it played that pattern of what it felt like my daughter was saying to me about what she was experiencing when I was going through it. So like if we can unpackage those lid and just start there, and I can talk about what like the trauma my mother has put me through without anger anymore, without resentment, and just understood where she was and why she made, the changes she had to make and why she couldn't understand coming to also immigrating to another country too and dealing with all of that came with her also. So I feel like, that deep dive, even with us being single mother, we can open the lid and prepare the kids. But in that, we can also mother ourselves and heal ourselves. And then we can turn around and go back and mother our mother and like get them to heal too. So like I'm getting my mother to open up a lot more and communicate than she ever has before, at all. Because she's always like, pray about it. God would take care of everything. Like, she doesn't say how she was hurt or, what was done with her. She just believed that she prayed, it was all going to be okay. And it was just going to go away. Yes, that's a Liberian woman speaking. So definitely being here and knowing that us as a single mother, no matter where you find yourself, just write it out, as you was talking about, journal it, talk about it, come up with a plan, like find your little online community, because it's been so helpful, so helpful. That's what I want to leave everybody with tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Mango Woman. It's always a pleasure to have you come on.
Thank you.
All right, and I want to thank everybody else for coming. We've almost been going 4 hours. What I told y'all before, I only do 2.5 hours, but let me tell you something. I don't feel it. I'm not tired. I'm not drained. Now I guess Themis will be like, just give it some time, right? But no, I'm really excited at how this community is growing. I'm really excited every time you guys let me know, what this space means to you. It just invigorates me. Oh, Demus, you're still here. Thank you. Thank you for being the catalyst for all of this. And I remember, Themis, when that person came on one night, and I don't think they ever came back, and they were just like prophesizing over you and just talking about how important you are and how you were going to change so many lives, and you just have this light around you and all of this stuff, all facts, facts on facts on facts. And I just look at what you're doing. Look at how you have followed your spirit and your guidance and your higher power, and you're building and you're helping to heal the community. So you're doing exactly what it is you want to do through us. And I thank you. We thank you. I receive your thanks. And I'm just really going away from this live tonight with like so full. I am so full and so grateful and so excited for what we're doing, what we have done, and what we are going to do in the future. So I want to thank everybody: Denise, Kenny, Grace, Drea, B, Deanne, LB, Jazzy, Summer, Petty, London Link, Drea. Did I say Drea? Ultimate Gemini, Luxora, Valerie TV. I probably might miss some people. AJM. I'm seeing the same names now. Hello, hey, 000. Welcome. I haven't seen you before. I appreciate you, Mara. There you are, you little cutie. Christina Bell. Murder Magic Tricks. Oh, at Marvel Cousins. Thank you so much for coming up. Chica. That's as far as it'll let me go. So anybody I didn't shout out, Themis. Anybody I didn't shout out, I appreciate you so much. We are here Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Woman Chat Wednesday. All the links are in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram at Level Up Single Mom. There are no spaces. It's all one word. And I will see you. Actually, I'll probably see most of you on Friday at Themis's Live. So thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.